blending a tradition rich in memories with innovation and the latest in television technology. Great moments come alive on NBC Sports.
Doubleheader action starts our afternoon as most of you will see Dave Winfield and the Yankees try to hold off the charge of the Indians in the American League East. Or some of you will see Will Clark lead the Giants against the Reds. Then in Game 2, most of you will see Tony Gwynn of the Padres hot off the doubleheader sweep last night of the Dodgers. Or some of you will see Toronto battle Detroit. The Tigers just a half game out of first place in the AL East. But first, NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball, an inside look brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers, and by Burger King, where we do it like you do it. You are looking at Cleveland Stadium on the shores of Lake Erie. They expect another big crowd, better than 50,000. The crowd filing in for the second of this three-game set between the Yankees and the Indians, our major game of the day. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marv Albert in New York. Welcome to the start of a doubleheader baseball day here on NBC. And coming up on the pregame show, a talk with Indians relief ace Doug Jones, one of the major reasons for Cleveland's success and one of the surprises of this 1988 season. Also, we'll reveal the final results of our baseball personality poll, who has been deemed most popular and most disliked. We'll be telling you later on. But first, a check of last night's games of note. At Shea Stadium here in New York, Mike Schmidt hit his 536th career home run to tie Mickey Mantle for 7th place on the all-time list, as the Phils beat Dwight Gooden and the first place Mets 3-1, but with Pittsburgh losing, Mets remain 5.5 in front. Dale Murphy had game-winning hits in both ends of a twine-nighter. The Braves sweeping the Astros. However, the Dodgers also lost 2 to the Padres. The Dodgers still lead the West by 1. The Reds got a scare when Eric Davis was hit by Atlee Hammaker of the Giants. X-rays showed no fracture. Davis said to be day-to-day behind Danny Jackson. The Reds blanked the Giants 6-0. And the Pirates were concerned when Barry Bonds, who came up with this pretty catch, also came up limping and was forced out of the game, but they say that he is okay. The catch of the night last night, Fred Lynn of the Orioles takes one away from Wade Boggs. Birds beat the Red Sox 3-2 in 11. The Hot Royals were finally stopped. Chili Davis led off the 8th with this home run. That the key blow. The Angels beat Kansas City 9-7. The Royals had won 6 straight, 9 out of 10. So Weston leading Oakland is now 5 in front. Jose Canseco with a 17th to lead the majors. The Athletics going on to a 7-6 victory over Texas in 14 innings. In the AL East, 57,000 in Cleveland last night. Second largest crowd in the major leagues this year. And they saw one-time Yankee Ron Kittle hit 2 home runs, sparking the Indians over the Yankees 6-4. Yankees only a half game over Detroit, 2 in front of Cleveland, as Indians relief man Doug Jones did it again. His 16th save. That's 12 saves. His last 12 appearances, 1 short of the major league record. And we'll be back to talk with Doug Jones, baseball's hottest man out of the bullpen, although very few fans outside of Cleveland are aware of his exploits. Well, the big crowd still making its way into Cleveland Stadium. In Cleveland, they're saying this is the biggest series that they have seen since 1974, the last time the Indians were in a pennant race at this stage of the season. Now, many of you will see the Yankees and Indians as part of our doubleheader coverage this afternoon. And one of last night's heroes, and certainly one of the unexpected factors of the 1988 season, has been the relief pitching of a 31-year-old career minor leaguer out of the Cleveland bullpen by the name of Doug Jones, with an earned run average of 1.93 and 16 saves, 3rd in the American League. He has been sensational. In fact, with 12 saves, his last 12 appearances, he's 1 shy of the major league record of 13 in a row set by Steve Bedrosian of the Phils last year. And Doug Jones is with us from Cleveland Stadium. Doug, you have come a long way. I'm told that during spring training, manager Doc Edwards told you, don't put your bags on the team bus, because it appeared you were headed back to the minor leagues. Now, that had to be real encouraging at that time.
Yeah, that was a bit of the doldrums of spring training, I guess, dog days. I was a little, had to be a little understanding in the situation.
Now, you have been all over the baseball map in this your 10th season in professional ball. There have been 17 stops that we have accounted for, starting with Newark in the New York Penn League back in '78. You did have a shot with Milwaukee, spent part of the last 2 years with Cleveland. But, Doug, you are, I would say, in the category of don't send out the laundry.
Yeah, I've been around quite a bit. In fact, we finally purchased a vehicle that we thought might help us get around the country a little better. Bought us a van this spring. But looks like now we might be settling into Cleveland here. May not need it.
You must have an understanding wife with all that traveling.
Yeah, I don't know how she's done it. She came from a family of, her dad was a minister back in Long Island, New York. Probably never been to a Major League Baseball game before, and she hooked up with a little minor league ball player back in '82, and I don't know how she's done it all this time.
Well, another encouraging career hint was provided to you 3 years ago. Cleveland executives offered you a job as a minor league pitching instructor, but you decided to stay active, give it another shot. Why? What kept you going?
Well, I'd been in a starting rotation with the Brewers organization, just about every team I was with. After '84, they released me, and I picked up with the Indians, and they stuck me on their AA team with the opportunity to come out of the bullpen only. And I was throwing a lot of things that usually you save for a starting pitcher, meaning 3 or 4 or 5 different types of pitches. And with the control I had, the AA hitters were just swinging at the strike zone, and they were knocking everything I had all around the park. So out of frustration, I eliminated several pitches and just stuck with a fastball changeup. And since then, in '85, I've exclusively gone to the fastball changeup, and it's been most of my success so far.
Doug, do you feel pressure in chasing the consecutive save record held by Steve Bedrosian?
No, I don't think so. I kind of rely on the ability to shut things out, especially out on the field. It's just part of the job you have to do. You just try to ignore things that you have no control over and just do what you can.
All right, Doug, continued success to you. Doug Jones, the relief ace of the Cleveland Indians, eradicating the label of career minor leaguer. Well, looking back at the past week, along with the work of Doug Jones, it was another week that saw some outstanding individual pitching performances, including 2 more near no-hitters. Incredibly, there have now been 17 no-hit bids this season taken into the 7th inning. Last Sunday, Mike Scott of Houston came within 1 out of pulling it off, but Ken Oberkfeld of Atlanta broke it up with 2 outs in the 9th. Scott threw the National League's last no-hitter back in September of '86. On Wednesday, it was Teddy Higuera of Milwaukee who had a no-hitter to the 8th against Seattle, but forced to settle for a 1-hitter, helped by plays like this. Jeffrey Leonard contributing to his new ball club. The most unusual catch of the week. Dave Henderson of Oakland had no idea, but recovers to make the grab. The playful, thievery move of the week. Tim Raines using sleight of hand, trying to pilfer the batting glove of Mike Schmidt. The case of the missing baseball at Wrigley Field. Barry Bonds with the drive to the wall beyond Dave Martinez. Where is it? Umpires say in the ivy, so ground rule double. Pirates say maybe it went over the wall, home run. But the umps were correct. They found the baseball. Nice call, says manager Jim Leyland. The most volatile scene this past week, Orioles manager Frank Robinson not pleased with the call by Al Clark. Robinson got the thumb, and the Orioles lost again. And the winningest pitcher in the majors, Greg Maddux of the Cubs, who became the first 11-game winner by beating the Cardinals. Maddux is now 11 up and 3 down. When we come back, we will have the results of our baseball personality poll. So stay with us.
And I was at a ball game last week, and the vendor says, hot dogs! And the guy at the end of my row says, I'll take one. And he starts passing the dollar, and the vendor starts passing the hot dog, and the hot dog and the dollar reached me at exactly the same point. Oh, it's times like that you wish you had a rocket pack on your back, huh? Take it away, Marv Albert and the Tijuana Brass.
Yes, you can see that all that work with Strasburg has finally paid off for Emo. All right, this is it, the moment that you have all been waiting for, perhaps the high point of your week, the announcement of the results of our popularity poll. Now, we asked these past few weeks for you to select the baseball personality that you liked best and disliked the most. First, the most popular. Dale Murphy of the Atlanta Braves has taken the honors. He was described as a father figure kind of a guy who cares about other people, or as Deanne Merritt of Plantation, Florida wrote, "It's a pleasure to watch this good, kind man play ball." Now, despite the fact that he has struggled this season, Dale pulled in the votes following a string of superstar seasons. This year, Dale hitting only .233, which led to this reaction when we told him of the fan vote.
And, it feels good. I started to wonder myself. I was thinking maybe they were polling this year's National League pitchers to find out who was the nicest guy. But it is a great thrill, and I'm honored.
Dale overcome with emotion when he learned that he topped our poll, but he did pull himself together. For the record, the runner-ups were Wade Boggs of the Red Sox, Don Mattingly of the Yankees. One of the more intriguing vote-getters, Gary Carter of the Mets, finished within the leaders and both liked and disliked. But it was Yankee owner George Steinbrenner in a clear-cut victory in the category of most disliked, George beating out the likes of Billy Martin, Pete Rose, and umpire Dave Pallone by a solid margin. Now, we invited George onto today's show, but he declined the invitation. Incidentally, Houston pitcher Bob Knepper made a late run in the dislike category, but fell short. You may recall Knepper's sexist statements concerning umpire Pam Postema, and last week he called the National Organization of Women a bunch of lesbians. At a news conference later today, Bob will apologize for those comments. We'll hear his remarks on one of our updates. He says that he was just joking. Well, that is it for the pregame show. Doubleheader day of baseball here on NBC. I'm Marv Albert in New York. Thanks for tuning in. Baseball coming up after these messages.
Up to left, over the outstretched glove, Ricky Henderson. The first of 2 home runs that he would hit off John Candelaria. It tied the game at 1 in the 6th inning. Corey Snyder belts one to center field. The ground rule double. It scored Joe Carter, and the Indians went up 3-1. Then it was up to the relief ace, Doug Jones. He got his 12th consecutive save of the year, his 16th of the season. The final 6-4, Cleveland over New York. The American League East race has tightened. Detroit won last night over Toronto 12-5. They're a half game back of the Yankees. The surprising Indians only 2 back. Today, the Yankees and Cleveland from the lakefront in Ohio.
The National Broadcasting Company. Now in its 7th decade of bringing you baseball's memories. Baseball's milestones. Baseball's majesty. And baseball's magical moments. NBC Sports proudly presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Cleveland Stadium, it's the New York Yankees versus the Cleveland Indians. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. By the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevy truck. And by AC Delco, automotive parts that don't just fit, they match.
A sunny Saturday afternoon at Cleveland Stadium, and the temperature near 80 degrees. Perfect day for baseball. Hello, everybody. Jay Randolph to call the play-by-play. This afternoon, the Yankees and the Indians in Game 2 of the 3-game series. The Yankees, in July of last year, early July, had a 5-game lead, and they watched it go by the boards. They may be feeling some of the pressure, and they've had more than their share of injuries. Today, 35-year-old Rick Rhoden gets the call. He's been bothered with back problems. On the other side of the ledger, a year ago, Cleveland lost 101 games through the season. They're a big surprise in 1988. And today, Scott Bales, he's had a groin pull. He will be the starting pitcher for Doc Edwards' Cleveland Indians. Working with us today, Tony Kubek, and he has a guest, Joe Carter. Let's go to him right now.
All right, thank you, Jay. Joe, a ball club last year, the Indians, that lost over 100 ball games, the worst earned run average in the major leagues last year. You are now challenging for the title. I know it's only the middle of June, but how does a team turn it around that quickly?
Well, I think you can look at two acquisitions we got. One was Willie Upshaw, which helped solidify the defense. No longer did myself have to go out and play 2 or 3 positions. Corey Steiner's only playing 1 position. I think that helped a lot, but probably the biggest boost we got was the development of Doug Jones. He's coming in and just been really unhittable. It doesn't do us any good to get a 3 or 4 run lead and lose the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, which we've done the past 3 or 4 years. Now we've got a legitimate stopper who comes in, does his job, gets the guys out, and hasn't really allowed too many runs. What more can you ask?
You've played in this ballpark that seats almost 80,000 people, at times in front of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people. Now, all of a sudden, the town has come alive because of the Indians, and you're playing to 50,000, 60,000, probably the same kind of crowd today.
Well, the crowd's great. You get a crowd out here like we had last night that come out here. They're really hollering. They're whooping up a storm. They're really behind us, and that's what it takes. If we can get 40,000, 50,000 out here every night, I think, we'll do pretty good.
Joe, good luck to you, and thank you for coming on. It's only June, and you've got a long way to go, pal. We'll be back to Cleveland with the starting lineups right after this.
A crowd of nearly 50,000 on hand this afternoon. They're still coming in, and the Cleveland Indians taking the field. Tony, there's been a lot of criticism, frankly, of Billy Martin regarding his pitching staff this year with the Yankees and how he's handled it, and that's nothing new. There was criticism when he was managing Oakland. Martin responded to your question regarding how he's handled these pitchers now and in the past.
Well, Tony, when I was at Oakland, I didn't have one sore arm. The next year was the year they all got the sore arms. I had a pitcher that made 74 pitches in 9 innings. And what I've been trying to tell the public and the press, it isn't the innings you pitch, it's the pitches you make in the innings. In other words, I had a Langford who made 74 pitches a game. Most pitchers make that in 5 innings. Now, in the next year, they got sore arms, and that's part of the game. Right now, I had 3 guys with injuries, so I went to a 7-man rotation to give them rest in between so they get well, because we have a long season ahead of us. I spotted 1 pitcher lighter because I didn't want to use him against Oakland, which is a hard-hitting right-handed team, so I saved him for California, and he had a 1-hitter going into 6 innings. And I don't think we just do this by accident. I've seen Casey Stengel do it 30-some years ago, and I'm sure other managers have done it. You have to go what happens at the time. When you got injuries, you got to work around those injuries. And all the people who are out there who don't know what you're doing, shame on you.
Shame on you. There he is. Martin, 60 years old, born out in Berkeley, California. Some people say he's unsinkable. He has a tendency to list to starboard on occasions, but he's quite a fella. No doubt about that. Well, let's take a look at the lineup this afternoon. For New York, Henderson will lead it off. He is followed by Mattingly. 328 the average for him. Then Buhner this afternoon. Clark is the DH. Winfield in right field. Tollison is at third. Meacham at second. Santana at shortstop. And young Joel Skinner doing the catching. And, of course, as we mentioned to you, Rick Rhoden gets the call today. Now, here's Scott Bales, 6-5 on the year and a 4.29 ERA. Bales, 26-year-old lefty from Chillicothe, Ohio, not too far from Cleveland.
Bales, somewhat of a nibbler, changes speeds well, a lot of breaking stuff. Yankees a disciplined ball club, so he will need some defense behind him because they put the ball in play. Hall, Carter, Dave, Clark, and Wright. Yesterday, Corey Snyder, arguably as good a right fielder as there's in baseball now, jammed his knee sitting out today. Jacoby, Ron Washington at 37 playing a superb shortstop. Franco, a big move to second base. Willie Upshaw, the addition that Carter told you about. Allenson catching again today.
Ricky Henderson leading it off against Scott Bales, and he stepped out of there.
He didn't give him time, though.
Did not give him time.
He requested it, but home plate umpire Tim Cheetah did not give it to him. So we think, although it's not on the board, it's ball 1.
I would guess that's the situation. There's a strike on the corner.
1-1.
1 ball and 1 strike. Henderson, 34 career leadoff home runs. The major league record is 35 by Bobby Bonds,
who up until last year was the batting instructor for the Cleveland Indians. They cleaned house around here.
Henderson, born in Chicago. He's thrived under Billy Martin. He's been bothered, though, with some injuries of late. Henderson is the youngest player in the history of the major leagues to have 700 steals in his career. He went 0 for 4 last night.
Chances are remote that if Ricky gets on today, he will be running. Right angle after missing 5 games, still a little tender and swollen. If he's going to try and steal, if he does get on, it'll be at a critical place when a stolen base means something, not the pad for a record.
Bales has a full count on Henderson. And he walks it.
Well, we'll find out how sore his ankle is. Dale Ford down in first base, no appeal on the play. Scott Bales, last time out, got banged around pretty hard with a groin pull. The time before that, he had an outstanding game, Jay, against the Toronto Blue Jays. Took a no-hitter with 2 outs into the 7th. Kelly Gruber broke it up.
Henderson.
No swing. You can see a great camera angle. You can see the barrel of the bat did not go through the plane of the strike zone, the front edge of the plate.
Mattingly standing in. They're holding it first. And a strike on the inside corner. The plate umpire today is Tim Cheetah. Dale Ford at first, as you saw. Larry Young at second and Jim Evans at third. Mattingly, 328 the average. Out of Evansville, Indiana. Last 16 games, he's batted .431 with 17 runs scored, 4 homers, and 13 RBIs. The chopper, Washington, shovels on to Franco, not in time at first. They get the lead man.
Jay Bell was going to be the shortstop coming out of spring training. He fielded well, but was hitting about 195, so Ron Washington, a spare part, has played real well. But as soon as he backs up on this ball, instead of charging and getting off the big hop or short hop, the double play was gone. Watch Franco, another big move at second base when Julio went to Edwards and said, I'd like to play second base. He is very quick on the pivot and very acrobatic. Of course, he had trouble with his throwing elbow from short, and another reason he made the move to second base.
Jay Buhner stands in, batting .267, 1 on and 1 out. That's low and outside. Buhner, a native of Louisville, Kentucky, grew up down in Texas, where he was an all-stater in baseball and soccer. They call him Mr. Energizer, and some people are talking about him like he's the second coming. They say he reminds some of Mantle, of DiMaggio. Of course, this is just his first time all the way around.
Oh, yeah. Ted Williams, an interview with Hawk Harrelson up in Boston Old Timers game, talked about Killebrew. They hang superstar tags on people in a hurry these days, don't they? After about 25 major league at-bats or so.
Too soon. He was acquired from Pittsburgh with Dale Berra and pitcher Alfonso Pulido for Steve Kemp and Tim Foley back in December of '84.
Well, he's strong. He got a short swing, outstanding throwing arm. A little bit better than average running speed, not center fielder running speed, but he's playing there today.
Bale's getting a new baseball. Buhner took over when Henderson went down, and of course Roberto Kelly wasn't getting the job done either. 2 balls and 1 strike to Buhner. Just missed inside.
Jay, about 2 hours before game time, when we were in manager Doc Edwards' office, he kept running those tapes over and over again of different game situations with Buhner at bat, saying, I've never seen this kid. Maybe I can find from watching the tapes how we should pitch him.
Well, inside they come, and the liner right to Washington, out number 2.
Quite a story around Washington, who banged around the minor leagues a long time, was a member of the now gone Kansas City Royals Baseball Academy. Mr. Ewing Kaufman started years ago, took a bunch of kids in, gave them a part of the college education, taught them how to play the game. They had a great coaching staff down there. Charlie Lau was there, Steve Boris. Sid Thrift, now with the Pirates.
What a job he's done.
He ran that school down there for the Royals.
Jack Clark DHing. Homered here last night. 227 the average. You know, I was talking with Clark last night. Got to know him rather well when he's with the Cardinals. And I asked him about being with the Yankees. He likes the club. He likes the players. Trying to put that one out of here. And Bales is out in front 0-2. And I asked him, I said, Jack, is it different DHing? He said, yes, it is. It really puts more pressure on you because you don't have the opportunity to go out in the field and make the plays. And your only job in the game is to hit.
Yeah, people think of it as a physical adjustment. Well, it is that, keeping loose. I mean, some people go in the clubhouse, watch TV monitors from the center field camera. Some hit tape baseballs as Yastrzemski does, some off the batting tee. But it's a mental adjustment that he's having difficulty with.
It really is.
And all those breaking balls in this league also.
And that breaking ball didn't get him. It was close, and Ford, the first base umpire, said he doesn't go around.
That's perhaps what Scott Bales does best. I got to believe that should have been a strike, folks. Jack Clark does strike out a lot, but he's also got a reputation already in this league, taking a lot of pitches and walking a lot.
$3 million, 2-year deal with the Yankees. Clark takes high and outside. It's 2-2.
Clark has played 53 games. He's walked 52 times and struck out 53 times. And got 13 home runs, only 38 ribbies. But he's gotten a lot of big hits for this ball club. And his high on base percentage keeps rallies going.
And he strikes out. A half inning of play by the boards. No score here in Cleveland. A good look at Cleveland Stadium, the old baseball yard, and of course the home of the Cleveland Browns also here on the lakefront in Cleveland. Franco to lead it off for the Indians. He's followed by Willie Upshaw. Joe Carter in center field. Kittle, 2 home runs last night, DHing again today. Mel Hall, he's in left field. Brooke Jacoby is the third baseman. Ron Washington at shortstop. Dave Clark, as we mentioned, will be in right field today. And it's Andy Allison doing the catching. Rick Rhoden is 2-5, and the ERA is up there at 5.03. He suffered back problems in spring training. He's pitched through them. Had an opening day 3-hit shutout against Minnesota. And after 4 more starts, he went on the DL. Returned on May 21st, and there's the defense.
Yankees still with a little instability in the middle of the diamond with Willie Randolph out disabled. Possibly a long disablement with that left wrist injury.
Franco leading it off, batting .271. The first pitch is high for a ball. He was one of 5 players that the Phillies sent to the Indians in the Von Hayes deal back in '82.
A free swinging ball club, the Indians. They don't not usually take a whole lot of pitches. Rick Rhoden trying to stop a streak in the last 4 games on this road trip. The Yankees starters ERA has been over 8. That's an awful lot of pressure on your bullpen. And again is the reason for it. Willie in a 7-man rotation at times. Now he's in a 5-man rotation. Rhoden, in fact, hasn't pitched for 8 days. And he said, I will be stronger, throw harder, but I won't have very good control. And that's what happened to him so far.
And a walk to Franco. Rhoden getting a lot of press, of course, recently for DHing.
He went out to the mound, and talked about it yesterday, expecting not to have good control. And you wonder, even a veteran like Rhoden, if he didn't plant those negative vibes within his head, and he comes out and walks the first hitter. A tough guy to walk in Franco.
Willie Upshaw is batting .231 with 20 RBIs and 8 home runs. A little toss over to first.
They knew they were getting a good glove and a team leader, but he is fit into the number 2 spot against all kinds of pitching very well. As Willie can pull the ball through the hole on the right side, protect Franco if he wants to run.
Well, he's always handled tough situations. 14 brothers and sisters growing up.
Especially at the dinner table, huh?
Strike on the inside corner.
Roden, one of the Yankees starting pitchers, have been upset. There's Johnny Gorel, former Twins manager, coaching at third base with Doc Edwards. And Roden went to Billy Martin, Candelaria, Dotson. They said, we don't want to pitch between starts and relief. We're either starters or relievers, and we prefer only starting. Tommy John did just the opposite. Tommy John pitched about, what, 4 times in 7 days?
4 times in 7 days, 3 times in 5 days, and I guess that's where some of that criticism of how Martin has handled the pitching staff comes from, naturally. Count of 1 strike to Upshaw as Roden continues to try to keep Franco close over there. Franco with 8 stolen bases on the year.
Well, when you lose 3 ball games in a row with almost any other team, it's really not panic time unless you're with the Yankees, and they've lost 3 in a row.
Pitch out. Nothing shaking. Cleveland has stolen 48 bases out of 76 attempted. These Indians are batting .256 as a team as they come in here this afternoon. They've hit 60 home runs.
They're in a bad hitting slump over the last couple of weeks, though.
Yep.
A team hitting slump.
And another throw over. Roden out of Boynton Beach, Florida, going for his 140th career win today. 16-10 last year. This is a pitcher who works to hitters' weaknesses. That's what he's always trying to do. Very bright gentleman. Had osteomyelitis as a youngster. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Roden, one who thinks that the Yankees follow advanced scouting reports too much as far as their pitching. He said they say pitch a hitter a certain way, and he said sometimes we go out there, don't have that pitch going, yet they still want us to go after him in that fashion.
The Yankees,
today I'm just going to try and throw more sinker balls, establish the fastball, even though this is a fastball hitting club.
Yeah, the Yankees' feeling is that because this is a first ball, fastball hitting club for the most part, that they'd like to throw a lot of off speed pitches and curve balls. Another throw over to first base. And Mattingly coming in, and now Skinner wants to go out and talk to his hurler. Cleveland is 6-11 playing day baseball this year, 33-21 on grass, and 17-11 against the East.
They wanted Willie Upshaw's bat to go along with Mal Hall's because they're a strong right-handed hitting ball club with Corey Snyder and Franco and Joe Carter and Allenson, and they needed some balance from the left side.
2 balls and 1 strike. Franco down there at first, and Roden taking a lot of time tending to Franco. And another throw over.
It is probably the most common pitch in baseball for a runner to be started. 2 balls and 1 strike. Difficult to pitch out and go to 3-1, get way in the hold of the hitter. You've got a left-handed batter who protects the runner a little bit. Catcher has to throw over the top of him. And if he swings at the pitch and misses, even more protection, keeping the catcher back in the box. He's gone.
And a swing and a miss, and the throw, and safe at second. Franco steals his 9th base of the season. The throw on the wrong side of the bag.
It wasn't that bad, though. It was very close. And Skinner unloaded in a hurry. He got a pitch down, which made it a little more difficult. And you can see Upshaw swinging at that pitch keeps Skinner back that extra step that he allows to get Franco, and to throw a foot or 2 off to the third base side, and Franco's in. Doc Edwards wants to run, wants to be aggressive, hit and run. Now with 2 strikes, 2-2, Upshaw will still try and get the ball on the right side. Roden may run a fastball away from trying to get him hit to the left side.
And this big crowd, they've been waiting for this series here for quite a while, and they've turned out, and they're enjoying it as that's high and it's a full count.
Roden appears all out of whack. Even when he's landing, he is way off balance. Does not appear to have rhythm. It is early.
Well, he went full on Franco, of course, or I should say he walked Franco to start things off, and now he is full on Upshaw.
And he steps off as Santana moved in at second. Collison, Santana, Meacham, and Mattingly on this infield. Field in very good condition. 320 down the lines, 385 to the power alleys, and 400 to center field. And into left field it goes. Henderson backing up. Makes the play.
He's going to try Henderson's arm.
And Franco is in.
Oh, that is such smart base running. It is a tough sun field in left field here in Cleveland at this time of day. And Ricky really just drifted back. Did not have his momentum going toward third base. You can see battling the sun and not having full momentum. Franco, who's a super athlete, gets a good jump off second base, and the throw doesn't get there in time, and it's way out of line. Good base running, pressuring the throwing arm of Ricky Henderson.
Carter set to stand in, batting at 280. The runner at third and one out. Carter was batting .379 on May the 4th.
I'll tell you, this is awfully early in the ball game to have the infield in this far. Now they move back. It's no Billy Martin trick. He's one of the first I ever saw do it. He will play his infield back at times, and on a prearranged signal to try and deceive the third base coach, the third base runner will move them in. That time they started in and then started backpedaling to about halfway as the pitch was on its way. Clete Boyer next to him, the infield instructor and third base coach.
One ball to Carter. This is into left field, and the Indians lead 1-0. RBI number 44 on the year for Carter.
Julio Franco manufactured that run all by himself. Walks, goes second. Terrific base running, and a ball to left field, not that deep, going to third, and then Carter gets the base hit.
And they start to applaud as Ron Kittle comes to the dish.
And Joe Carter, a base stealing threat. That is Charlie Manuel, the hitting instructor, has been working long and hard with Ron Kittle. Perhaps Ron Kittle's big instructor, Walt Riniak, the Boston Red Sox. Kittle's been to his school up at Tufts University in the offseason, the last 2 off seasons. Nope, that's a balk, folks.
A balk.
That's a balk, folks. Tim Cheetah and Dale Ford, home plate and first base, called it. And Joel Skinner, Billy Martin insists on it, even this late in the season, keeps telling them to make sure they stop.
Third balk on Roden this season. We had a balk called here last night against Candelaria that was a key call in the game. At normal speed, Tony, we look at it.
That pause that has caused a lot of problems. He did not come to a discernible stop. 3 umpires' hands popped up immediately. There are a lot of situations that can happen. Yesterday on Candelaria's balk, Allenson hit a fly ball to center field. The pitch was negated. The runner was moved to third. No pitch on that. But there are times there's no option if the ball's put in play. But every runner, including the batter and runner, have to advance at least one base, then the ball stays in play.
Kittle off the short end of the bat, jammed, pops out to Meacham.
Well, the balk calls have lightened a little bit. The umpires have eased off, and the pitchers have finally been trained so that they are coming to a discernible stop, but it's still at the point of being ridiculous. I mean, just when a call like that affects almost every game played in the major league at one time or another, something's wrong, and it's being called irrationally.
There have been a great many more balk calls over in the American League than there have been in the National. 281 for Mel Hall, 23 RBIs.
There's the reason for that, James. Last year, the National League set a record. They were calling that pause because of Whitey, mostly Whitey, last year.
Swing and a miss by Hall.
Still homerless this season, although he got a big hit off Neil Allen yesterday, driving in 2 runs.
He came over here in June of '84 in the Rick Sutcliffe deal.
As did the man at second base, Joe Carter.
And Roten took a little something off that one. He's out in front 0-2.
Hall staying out of the batter's box a long time. He did not like the action on that last pitch. Roden in the National League and a little bit in the American League last year accused of doctoring baseballs, cutting them.
Ball has hit in 6 of his last 7 games and batted .450 over that span. Inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Indians were 61-101 in '87. They are 38-27 coming into today, 2 games back. Their last pennant here in 1954. A little low. 2-2. Talking about the balk totals, there they are.
American League on a record pace. In fact, I think they've already broken the old record.
I was going to say, I think it's already gone by.
So far, there's been 1 day this season, a few weeks back, where there was not a balk called in the Major League in any game.
Roden's 2-2 pitch. Hit on the ground. Meacham. And he throws on. Franco did the job as he scores the first run of this game. And it is 1-0 Cleveland.
Well, after Franco took the field, he asked for the last baseball that Roden threw to Hall for the ground out to second. Looked at it, looked at some of his teammates who all looked at it and said, I do believe this ball has been defaced by someone.
The Inspector General, huh? We move into the second inning. Indians leading 1-0. Roden squaring himself away over there as Winfield stands in. First pitch is low. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball. It is not to be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Jay Randolph and Tony Kubek with you this afternoon from Cleveland Stadium. Inside for ball 2.
Bale's not a hard thrower. He will not throw his fastball very often for strikes. Tries to make you hit a little sinker out of the strike zone once in a while. The ball will dive like a little sinker. But basically, he's a breaking ball pitcher. Changes speeds on his breaking ball a lot.
A strike to Winfield. Winfield now 36 years old. Now, Sparky Anderson says this about Winfield, and I was talking last evening with Jack Clark getting his impressions of his new teammate, and he said, boy, he really plays his guts out. That's exactly what he said. He said, I've never seen a guy plays hurt, plays all out, plays the game full tilt all the time.
And there's no doubt this year, after the book and all the publicity and the no love loss syndrome between him and the boss, George Steinbrenner, he is on a little bit of a mission this year.
The 3-1 pitch. Can he beat it out? Good play by Ron Washington. All Washington could do was wait and hope that he could get the throw away in time, and he cuts down Winfield.
Obviously unhappy when the hat flew off his head. You don't see many balding shortstops in the big leagues these days, but Ronnie's been around. He has seen a lot of the minor leagues. Right off home plate. Looks like they're even making that livelier this year. On the run, Winfield with not a great jump out of the box. Nice play by Washington.
Wayne Tollison activated last Friday. Actually, a week ago yesterday.
No, Jay, Doc Edwards was just going to play Ron Washington maybe 3 or 4 days to let Jay Ball watch a few games, hopefully get out of his slump, take extra hitting, but he's played so well that he just kept him out there.
1 ball and 1 strike.
He won't give the job up easily, doesn't look like.
No, that's right. And the curveball is fouled back. Tollison coming off rotator cuff surgery, batting at .308.
Pagliarulo, who has hit under 150 versus left-handed pitching this year, getting a little break. Pags does have 7 extra base hits, 4 home runs off left-handed pitching, but the average just isn't there.
And that's high. Tollison, an All-American wide receiver, and led the National Collegiate Athletic Association in pass receptions as a senior, graduate of Western Carolina. The 2-2 and strikeout number 2 for Scott Bales.
Establishing that breaking ball in the Yankee hitter's mind, that little sneaky fastball, perhaps not harder than 84 or so. about an average, more often than not, less than average Major League fastball. But with a breaking ball in a guy's mind, they swing at pitches like this. Fastball running out of the strike zone to get Tollison.
Bale set to come in to Meacham. Meacham looked like he might be thinking about laying down a bunt. Took a strike on the outside corner. Meacham 0 for his last 7 at-bats. The .211 average.
You get down to the last 4 hitters in this Yankee lineup, they certainly do not look like the Bronx Bombers, don't they? Billy has stacked most of his hitters in the top 5.
Well, he looked like he wanted to bunt again. 1 ball and 1 strike.
It's one thing Billy does, and did it with Oakland the split season year during the strike where he won a mini pennant. A lot of managers, or some managers, will spot their weaker hitters and their strong hitters throughout the lineup, so you know have no continuity. Billy will stack his hitters that are hot all in one lump, take his chances scoring big with those guys, and just not necessarily give up on the last 3 or 4 hitters. He doesn't put non-run producers in between the run producers.
And this is high. 3 balls and 1 strike. Meacham last season batted only .091 against Cleveland. In his career, he's hit .284 against the Indians. From California, went to school at San Diego State. Full count.
Well, there's no question the loss of Willie Randolph. Don't know how long it's going to be. And it happened last year with the knee surgery after the All-Star game. Is going to hurt this team ultimately.
Tough for Randolph in the final year of his contract.
About stability defensively and a great on-base percentage, too.
Washington makes another play, and they're down 1-2-3. Indians lead it 1-0 after an inning and a half. The Indians leading 1-0. The last time they won the World Series in '48. Last time they drew $1.5 million was '51. They're going to go over the 700,000 mark here this weekend. It took them to the end of July to do that last year. So the fans of the Cleveland Indians are turned on once again. Well, this is a young club having a lot of fun.
1948, they beat the Boston Braves in 6 games for World Championship. Bob Lemon and Larry Doby had great years. 54, Lemon anchored that great staff, and Doby had almost an MVP caliber year.
Brooke Jacoby leading it off. Jacoby batting .267.
He's been struggling. The power numbers aren't there. Last year he cut down on his strikeouts. He had no problem uppercutting the ball, trying to pull too much.
Tony, you'll remember he hit .366 after the All-Star break last year. He plays good defense. He and Pagliarulo led the American League third baseman last year with 32 home runs. Pagliarulo not in the lineup today. Foul back. Pagliarulo, I think, though, is one of the unsung heroes of this Yankee club. He really has had some very big hits along the way this season.
Well, he is such a tough guy and plays through so many injuries. Every team needs a guy like him. And here, obviously, in his idol has been Don Mattingly. And all he tries to do is outwork Donnie. I don't know if that's possible.
Strikeout. Jacoby goes down. The first strikeout for Rick Rhoden.
Set up very well by Rick Rhoden and especially Joel Skinner. Busting the fastball inside on Jacoby, and then he's looking inside and they go away and hit the spot.
Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
WDIV Detroit. Go for it.
We're in the bottom of the second. The Indians leading 1-0 with Tony Kubek, Jay Randolph, Ron Washington at the dish. And the first pitch a little high. Jim Sheeta, the umpire, calling the balls and strikes behind home plate. Washington has started 9 of the Indians' last 12 games at shortstop, as Tony mentioned, replacing Jay Bell, swing and a miss.
Now Rhoden is beginning to throw the ball a little bit better. Seems to have a better rhythm, better idea. Was feeling his way through the first inning. He swung away to right field for Ron Washington. He hits late. Look where Winfield is, almost on the line, like Washington's a left-handed pull hitter.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Rhoden quoted this week as saying he's finally ready, finally feels comfortable. Although he had a rather rocky outing last time out, he seems to have some confidence that he is back and ready to return to top form. Strikeout number 2. Jacoby and Washington go down. That'll bring up Clark.
So Rick Rhoden going against the Yankee Advanced Scouting Report book. Throwing a lot more fastballs, not throwing the curveballs and sliders. He started Washington off with a slow slop curve to show it to him out of the strike zone and just went after the fastballs.
Skinner, the young catcher, going out to visit with Rhoden. Skinner's dad, of course, longtime performer in the National League and longtime assistant of Chuck Tanner's, out of a job right now. Bob Skinner.
Timeout, the balloon out in the field, the beach ball in right field. Yeah, Joel Skinner, you might get an argument, not from too many people, may be the best defensive catcher in the American League right now.
Fine looking.
Throws well, handling pitchers, blocking balls, calling the game.
His dad's a dandy. I'm sure he's very proud of it. Chambliss has been working with him and trying to improve his hitting. Clark, who bats .211 as he stands in there today, takes ball 1. Now on the outside corner, ball 2.
What you
1-1.
What you want in a catcher, all other things equal, is you want a catcher. There's Chambliss, who's worked with him. You can want a catcher who might hit for you rather than a hitter who might catch. And this is a guy who can catch and is starting to learn how to hit a little bit.
The 1-1 pitch is outside. Clark was the Indians' #1 pick back in June of '83. He was the 11th player picked overall in the draft at that time.
He's got some power and some pretty good running speed. A bunch of years in the minor leagues, steals in more than double figures.
Backing up, Mattingly makes the play, tosses on to Rhoden. And after 2, Indians lead 1-0. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. We move into the 3rd inning here at Cleveland Stadium. The Yankees last year, 89-73, finishing 4th. 39-24 at the moment, and Jay Bell taking a look at one of the baseballs.
That's the one that Franco brought in, I think, or they're starting a collection of them. They do that when the balls go to the home team's dugout. So
Santana's batting .246. He has 15 RBIs and 2 home runs. Santana, the 30-year-old Dominican from the Mets in December of last year. First ever trade between the 2 New York teams. 1 ball and 1 strike. Inside.
I love his nickname, Brenda Linda, in the Dominican Republic. Beautiful jewelry. When he was a kid, he used to carry all the gold for the Rico Cartes and all the great Dominican players there.
Washington throws him out. Update you, there's some other action this afternoon. Boston out in front of Baltimore. They're in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Clemens and Bautista, and Cincinnati 1-0 over San Francisco, an important series at Riverfront Stadium. Downs going against Robinson. Robinson taken out of the rotation last time around.
Seems like every time Kelly Downs picks up a baseball, he's got a no-hitter go to the 6th or 7th inning.
That's true. Here's a shot by Skinner into center field, ranging over is Carter, and he makes the play at the warning track. Skinner hit that ball a long way.
Starting to get his swing a little bit shorter. And the more he plays, the more relaxed he'll be behind home plate. Don Slott, who's been out about a month now with an injured groin. A little weight transfer. You can see the back foot off the ground. Transfer from the back to the front. It's got under a little bit.
Slott, along with Guidry and Willie Randolph, with the physical problems. And, of course, Righetti has had the sore elbow. Mattingly soreness in the right side, as Henderson, who walked to start the game, takes ball 1.
Well, there's got to be a concern about Righetti. And
sure.
He had some of that elbow problem last year. They call it tendons, but you got to wonder if he's got some particles floating around there that are irritating him. He's not throwing as hard. Bullpen has not been a good area for the Yankees.
And this is something that is carried over from last year, Tony. They went through a club record 48 players last year.
Columbus shuttle.
Low, 3 balls and no strikes. And a strike on the outside corner. 3-1 to Henderson.
You know, what a surprise this Cleveland staff has been. You know, Bales, ERA just over 4. He's only 6-5. They've scored a lot of runs for him. But you get down to Swindell, 10-4, 2.83. Candiotti just over 3. Doug Jones, the man who they call SD Jones, special delivery. He comes in, he delivers. He's on a record pace. He's got 12 saves in his last 12 outings. The record held by Bedrosian set last year in the National League. So if he picks up another save his next time out, that's just astonishing numbers, what a closer can do. Just ask Tom Kelly about Jeff Reardon last year.
Well, Henderson getting on by the walk. Now Mattingly rounds out. The Indians have the lead 1-0. Back with more right after these messages. The big ballpark here on the lakefront in Cleveland. Andy Allison. Allison takes outside. He's batting .247. No hits in his last 16 at bats.
He's been catching an awful lot. Day game today after night game, and Doc Edwards sooner or later is going to have to work Chris Bando in a little bit more. You know, there's still a lot of Pat Corrales with this ball club. Sure. He was a tough taskmaster. And then, of course, Joe Klein, who was a general manager, helped set this club up. And I think even though Corrales may have been tough on Allenson, I think he taught him an awful lot about this game and how to catch, and the pitchers have tremendous faith in him now.
2 balls and no strikes. This is fouled away at the plate. Allison from Richmond, Virginia. Sold season tickets here during the off season. He was an All-American for the Spiders at the University of Virginia. We talked about the size of this ballpark. They had 71,000 here a couple of weeks ago, a special promotion. Big crowd last night, and again today. They've come out to see their Indians, who lead it 1-0, bottom of the 3rd inning. They got the 1 run on just 1 hit back in the 1st inning as Franco got a walk, stole a base, went to 3rd on a fly ball by Upshaw, and scored on Carter's single.
Is he the Tom Kelly this year?
Howard Rodney Edwards, the man they call Doc, out of Red Jacket, West Virginia.
What's the population of Red Jacket?
It's not too bad. Not too bad. It's not far from Williamson.
Bob DiBiasio, the PR director, was telling us yesterday, he said that they had a little caravan, a tour, and the bus driver with the bus with some of the players in the caravan during the offseason said he was from Red Jacket, and Doc Edwards couldn't believe it. 2 men on the same bus from Red Jacket.
Payoff pitch, hit in the hole. Lead-off singer for Allison. Got a doubleheader, of course, today on NBC. Many of you will see the Padres and the Dodgers. Others will see the Blue Jays and the Tigers. The Tigers going good these days. And the Dodgers leading the National League West. Second hit of the game for the Indians.
How about the Padres beating the Dodgers doubleheader yesterday under Jack McKeon?
McKeon taking over for Larry Boa. Franco, who walked in the 1st.
Tollison creeping in at 3rd in case he bunts.
And it got by Mattingly, who was on the move. Allenson goes to 3rd. They're at the corners with none out.
And it was that threat of a bunt that got Mattingly in 2 or 3 steps closer, but Franco had to execute. And he was shooting for the gap and took a pitch inside and inside it out to right field. Boy, he's done some things in this ball game already, Franco, to show you what kind of athlete he is. All but scoring that first run by himself. And then Tollison up, Mattingly cheating a little bit. He shoots it through the gap in right field. That is smart hitting to create a 1st and 3rd.
You didn't see it on that replay, but as you mentioned, Tony, Mattingly was coming in just enough that that ball got by him. He didn't have the opportunity to go to his right and make the play.
At one time, Franco was a wild swinger, but he has settled in and is more of a thinking man's player now.
Willie Upshaw flied to left in the 1st. It's a little high. contract purchased from Toledo. At the end of March, he hit .306 in '83. That was his best year, 104 RBIs. Originally, as we get a throw over to first base, Upshaw selected by the Yankees in June '75. He was drafted off New York's Syracuse roster in '77.
Some feel this is the man the Toronto Blue Jays missed the most. Willie Upshaw.
High. 2 balls and no strikes, and Roden's in a jam. He's down 1-0. Bottom of the third. 2 on and none out.
Upshaw's last couple of years with the Blue Jays had an assortment of injuries. Changed his swing a little bit to protect the hand and wrist injury. Starting to swing the bat a little bit better. He said in an old-timers game he saw his old-time hitting coach, Bobby Dorr, used to be a minor league hitting instructor and in the major league level for the Blue Jays. Then he said, I also saw Scoops, Al Oliver, who was with him with the Blue Jays for a while, and he moved him around. He said, I feel a lot more comfortable having talked to Dorr and Al Oliver.
It's amazing what a visit like that can do, or just a little tip to kind of turn things around.
Well, see, those two remembered how Willie hit when he was having his big years with Toronto a few years back. And they had a mental picture and tell him, hey, look, you're in a different spot in the batter's box. Your swing was this way back then. Why don't you get back to your old way? And he's gradually getting to it. Average doesn't show it yet, but I think it will.
Another throw over to first.
It's a funny pitch. 2 balls, no strikes is not a likely pitch to run out. Only because you want your hitter to be selective, try and drive the ball deeply, try for an extra base hit. If it goes 2-1, you've got a similar situation as in the first inning. Roden keeps thinking he's moving.
And fouled away off the end of the bat.
Interesting pitch selection. 2-0. He changed up, knowing that Upshaw wanted to try and pull the ball through the hole. Looking fastball. Roden, the veteran, smart enough to take something off and get him way out in front. That's the gap that Upshaw would be shooting through. That right side. We could see Franco on the move now.
And it is inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Indians won here last night 6-4. Joe Carter on deck. John Farrell and Doug Jones combined a 6-hitter. Kittle's 2 home runs. Mel Hall a pinch hit single off Neil Allen, got 2 runs home. Candelaria taking the loss here last night. Another throw over to first. On the ground to Santana. On to Meacham. And over to first in time. Run scores.
Not an easy double play to turn because Meacham, with the count what it was, 3 balls and a strike, was playing to pull. So he had a long way to run. Santana waits on the ball, gets it out of his glove to show it to him, and then Meacham makes a nice pivot. Oh, man, that was very close at first base. A mild argument from Willie Upshaw, Tommy Spencer, the first base coach, but that was a nice pivot from where Meacham had to come.
2 runs on 3 hits. Here's Carter, who singled home the first run of the game back in the first inning, and it's a strike on the inside corner. No RBI, of course, on the double play. Here's a long shot down the left side. Henderson coming over, jumps, and makes the catch.
With fans all but interfere, reaching on the field. That is a marvelous play by Ricky Henderson. Oh, did he get off the ground? The fence is perhaps between 7 and 8 feet tall near that foul pole. It looked like the ball was out. Ricky finds the warning track in the fence. Watch the fans reaching out into the field of play, and Ricky takes it right away from him. Now here's a look back at a very special Olympic moment. What a high jump.
Tony, last night Kittle hit one here. Very similar situation. Henderson couldn't get to this one, but boy, he does a job and he makes a brilliant play.
Well, you're talking about a sun factor, and of course the fans who are reaching out into the field of play. It looked like he was going to be in the seats. If not, it would have caromed off the top part of the canvas there. White hats. They talk about a basketball player have to have concentration when you're shooting a free throw with the glass backboards. How about that? With all the elements he had to battle. That is a fine play by Henderson. I'll tell you, if he had a great throwing arm, and it's just average, he might go down as one of the all-time left fielders.
Buhner lined out back in the first inning, and a check swing shot down to first. Upshaw makes the play, and quickly there's one gone. The Indians have 2 runs on 3 hits. The Yankees zeros across the board as we play here in the 4th inning. Jack Clark. Clark couldn't get together with the Cardinals. Made the big deal with New York.
And some accused his agent, Tom Rich, of saying to Mr. Steinbrenner, here he is, without giving many other teams a chance.
Clark is batting 167 in his last 18 games.
You know, over in the National League, where there are more fastball and hard slider ball pitchers, I think Clark was basically a pull hitter. Here, I think he's gradually learning where they keep pulling the string and trying to go away with them with off-speed stuff and backdoor their breaking ball. He's starting to hit the ball to right field a little bit more. He's found he has to.
Tried to go to right that time and fouled it away, and the count stays at 0-2.
He never has an easy swing. Even with 2 strikes, he doesn't cut it down a bit, does he? Playing him deeply, and about straight away in center field, you see Carter. Infield is playing him to pull, the outfield straight away.
There's what you were talking about. This fellow was the dominant power source in the first half of the '87 season over in the National League. He really carried the Cardinals. 136 walks last year. Led the National League. He 35 home runs. Just inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cincinnati leading 2-0 now over San Francisco as Sabo, the young third baseman who has put Buddy Bell out of business, as his 8th home run.
Well, the game Danny Jackson gave him again yesterday, huh? Never will be able to put a number on it what that 30-day suspension cost the Cincinnati Ball Club. Suspended Pete Rose by Mr. Giamatti, the league president. It's just hard to tell.
I like what Billy Martin said. He said it's not like he ran over a kid with his car.
Let's see, Concepcion got a 2-day suspension for throwing the first base bag. Guerrero got 3 days for throwing his bat at the pitcher.
That's low, and the walk to Clark. The 3rd pass given up by Bale.
I want to remind you fans that Jay and I are selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of this ball game.
Here's Winfield, grounded out to start the 2nd inning. He's reached base safely, as you see, in 56 of the 61 games. 345 lifetime in this ballpark. He loves to come here to the lakefront in Cleveland, at Cleveland's Stadium. 16 home runs, too, in his career here in this ballpark.
Now, Allinson's going to have a little talk with Scott Bales. He's temporarily lost a strike zone, and hitters like Clark and Winfield would do that to left-handers who don't throw very hard. You lose the strike zone a lot and want to nibble, even though he's got a 2-run lead, and that's perhaps what Allinson reminded him. Look, you can't walk him or pitch around him. You've got a 2-run lead. Go after him with strikes. Just keep the ball down, something that Mark Wiley, the pitching instructor, wants them to do. There's a sinker ball style grip with the seams. Change it when he goes in the glove.
Into center field.
Oh, is he something?
Wow. Carter came on in to make the play. From our vantage point, right behind home plate, it didn't look like he would have a shot.
And it is the toughest ball for an outfielder, especially a center fielder, to get a jump on. Easier in right and left because the ball might hook or slice. But that line drive hit right at you with that underspin on it can take off. It might sink sometimes if there's overspin. And not only was it hit hard, but he took about 7, 8 quick steps. He doesn't get the credit for being a potential superstar. He was a 30-30 man last year, home runs and quickest inning. In fact, first inning ever to give 100 RBIs and or 100 stolen bases.
That's right. He has
100 home runs and 100 stolen bases. But boy, he's a superstar quality player.
He's got 101 now and 100. So that is a tremendous record for him. Tollison fouls that first pitch away. He struck out back in the second.
A couple of weeks ago, I saw Carter make a catch right center field on Tony Fernandez. It was one of the best catches I've seen in 4 or 5 years. Diving.
Bale's out in front, 0-2. Yankees down 2-0.
Now, the overall team defense of the Indians is a vast improvement over last year, where they were down near the bottom of the league. They were making it at this stage last year about an error per game. Errors way down this year.
153 errors led the American League last year, and 44 this year. That's the 4th fewest in the league, Tony. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, some people feel that pitching can't help a defense, but defense can help a pitching, and that's been part of the reason this staff has been better this year, the defense.
2 balls and 2 strikes. The Indians with a 5.28 ERA, highest in the majors last year, and as we mentioned, overall the poorest fielding team, and they've turned it around. People were talking about them having a fine year. Last year they didn't, and it seems as we play here in June that they're on track in 88. The 2-2 from Bales, hit into right field. Clark holds on at second. That's the first hit for the Yankees. Bobby Meacham, who grounded out to end the second, will have the opportunity as
Mark Wiley comes out now. Isn't it interesting? Some of the people here with this organization, Hank Peters, fired by Baltimore, now the president. Tommy Giordano was the farm director there. They thought he ruined it. He is here now. Wiley was the pitching coach. He's taught them to throw off-speed pitches now in tough situations, and they're winning here. Baltimore struggling.
Bob Quinn, the former Indians farm director, now, of course, handling things for the Yankees, replacing Lou Piniella.
Well, Quinn, of course, helped draft a lot of these players and engineer some of the trades for the Cleveland Indians. In fact, he battled when they were talking about letting some of these players go in trades or not drafting certain players. He battled to keep them. Said, you've got the nucleus of a good ball club, and now he's left town and gone to the Yankees. It's quite a heritage, isn't it? Quinn's way back to the old Boston Braves with his grandfather.
See how the Indians have turned it around with that visual right there. Into center field. Carter makes the play.
Well, his great catch saved a lot of trouble.
Indians lead it 2-0. Indians up 2-0 with Tony Kubek, Jay Randolph here in Cleveland. More baseball coming up later today, a doubleheader day on NBC. And Ron Kittle comes to the plate. Kittle wanted us to send along best wishes to his dad, James, who is not feeling very well. Of course, tomorrow, Father's Day, and hope it'll be a pleasant day for all the dads.
Jim back in Portage, Indiana. Ronnie was talking about some of the fond memories as a child he had, and his dad was breaking him in as a shortstop.
And the slow curve, and Roden shakes his head as he didn't get it in there. Lifetime average for 162 games. Well, a lot of strikeouts, but some pretty good production for Ron Kittle. Kittle from Gary, Indiana. He was the 82 Sporting News Minor League Player of the Year. He's had some neck problems, of course. A former Yankee. Signed as a free agent here in February. Used to be with the White Sox. Fouled away.
I spoke with him 2 weeks ago, and he thought that he was going to be traded or maybe even outright released. And over the last 4 games, has he gotten hot? I mean, he has all but been awesome. Since 6-15 with 5 home runs and 7 runs batted in the last 4 games going into today.
He didn't get to play much as a Yankee. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Oh, look at that.
And play made by Tollison. That little slow curve just hung there for him.
It wasn't the Ephus pitch or the Steve Hamilton Folly floater, but it was a little lollipop curve, wasn't it?
I got a kick out of Kittle talking rather kiddingly as we watch this again. He was talking about,
baby.
Yeah, well, that's hanging, isn't it? He's talking about not playing with the Yankees. He said, heck, you got to make $2 million to get into the lineup over there. Mel Hall.
Another changeup.
And Meacham throws to Mattingly, and they're 2 gone. Brooke Jacoby struck out to start the 2nd inning. He'll come up with nothing shaking here, and the Indians leading it 2-0. Bottom of the 4th inning.
You look at Jacoby's numbers a couple of years ago. Struck out a lot. In the 130s. Last year he cut it down. Started going to right field more. Shortened his swing. Opened his stance. Moved up on the plate so he could have better plate coverage.
Comes by his baseball ability through the family. His dad played in the Cleveland and Philadelphia organizations. Acquired from the Braves with Brett Butler. Butler now, of course, with San Francisco, and pitcher Rick Bahena or Len Barker. That was back in August of '83. Foul back. Off the facade of the press box. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Talking about Kittle not getting to play with the Yankees. Actually, the Yankees have seemed to change their philosophy. They're playing more young people. Inside. Two balls and 2 strikes. Tollison, Santana, Meacham, and Mattingly on this infield. And they jammed him with that one. He fouled it away as he fought it off.
Now, Kittle had a funky swing at a pitch early in the count when he was up there as if he didn't see it. Ball just darting in on the 5th. Ronnie was talking about the day he was a high school shortstop. His dad taught him the old work ethic. He said, I had 4 home runs, made an error. The run didn't even score. And he said, my dad hit ground balls for 3 hours. He said, Dad, what are you doing to me? And James said, son, you got to learn to work.
Another foul.
He's throwing a lot more off-speed pitch now, and perhaps this is why Jacoby had this funky swing, so to speak, at a fastball inside. Maybe sitting on a breaking ball.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Brooke Jacoby. Fouled into the upper deck off to the right side. The Yankees have won 4 and lost 6 in their last 10 games. So have the Indians. Detroit, on the other hand, is 8-2 in their last 10.
Well, Salazar has done more than fill in offensively for Kirk Gibson, and that platoon system out there with Sparky.
Good stop by Skinner. You talk about this young man having the great tools behind the dish, Tony. He really is a fine defensive catcher. Not much gets by him. Skinner's thrown out 6 of 14 runners this year, 43%. Slought's only thrown out 3 of 25.
You know, he's in the mold to me defensively of a young Pudge Fisk, Carlton Fisk.
Yeah.
That same size and yet the quickness that they both have. I think Fisk was on an all-star game pace before he hurt that hand.
Strikeout number 3 for Roden, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Work with you. Our buddy Bob Costas, your regular partner, is in the islands over at the affiliates meeting.
Taking it easy. Hey, while we have a chance, I mean, Mr. Wonderful, our chief director, Harry Coyle, had to take a week off because we were getting in his hair a little too much and were aggravating him, so we spent a little time in the hospital. We understand he's doing all right. So, Harry?
He is. I talked to him on the phone a little while ago. Harry, all the best.
Get back in a hurry, pal.
Rafael Santana starting it off here in the 5th inning. Santana grounded out in the third. This place is really crazy with the Mets. The people just talk a lot. Over here, it really happens, huh?
Well, since he messed up a double play early in the season, Billy has been having nothing but complimentary things to say about him, saying he's been playing steady defense. Aside from that, getting a lot of big hits for us. So I never expected the bat. And now we're getting both from Santana. Well, Billy likes guys with experience, and Santana's been through the wars with the Mets, World Championship team, and a middle infielder like that. Maybe he doesn't cover a lot of ground, but he's still very steady.
Curveball high. And Allenson saying something to Scott Bales, who's back behind the plate.
Allenson did not exactly look like, and the way he slapped his mask on right now, like it was a mild pep talk. He was on Bales to throw strikes with that lead.
To the right side, and the stop by Upshaw, and the throw is behind Bales. Well, Upshaw did a great job getting to the ball, but then could not make the throw on target. They're going to rule a base hit. Here it is.
Really an outstanding play. Many times left-handed pitchers are a little slow getting over. Bales gets over in time, and he's standing there waiting. Fortunately, now it is a hit, but fortunately, this is one of the only parks where the photographers are allowed on the field. Here in Detroit, I believe, and with the Baltimore also. But the ball hit a photographer there, a still photographer. Otherwise, it might have rattled around, and the runner would have been on second base. So the ball just got smothered behind these cameramen down there, and it saved Upshaw in air.
Skinner flied to center field, hit the ball hard back in the third inning. Santana has the Yankees' second hit. Upshaw on to second.
Oh, hit his hand.
It hit.
Oh, that hit the hand of
Santana. And is Santana all right? Santana looks like he's hurt.
Oh, he was hit hard. The ball, Washington gliding across the bag. Santana slides legally, but he throws the hands up in the air. Many sliders will do that to prevent jamming the wrist on the dirt. He caught the slide, and he had him up too high, and a hard throw by Washington brings Gene Monahan and Billy Martin out. Hit him very solidly, and unfortunately on the throwing hand too. I mean, it didn't just graze it. That ball dropped almost straight down.
We've documented the physical problems of the Yankees with Righetti and Mattingly and Henderson and Slaught and Randolph, and we'll show it to you again. The ball coming quickly to Upshaw, who makes the play, and then the accident.
Willie really makes a throw that almost cuts across the runner. Washington more used to playing second base, and you can see right there, right off, it looked like the thumb or that area of the right hand. Shortstop's being taught to come from down under to make a guy get down. Washington does. Many times on that play, the shortstop will stand the inside of the diamond. Make his pivot.
Well, let's see. They're going to sit him down there and take a closer look.
Watch Washington glide to the outfield side. Many times the shortstop will, remember, he's relatively inexperienced. He's been more of a substitute player filling in all the infield positions, but he drifts out to the outfield side, and Washington throws the hand up, or rather Santana.
Henderson has walked twice.
Look at this.
Yeah, it's General Hospital here. Henderson hitting it into right field. Skinner holds on. Oh, boy. Clark can throw, can he?
Replacing Corey Snyder, who jammed his knee yesterday. If there's a better right fielder's arm in baseball, you can include in the American League Barfield and Winfield than Corey Snyder. I haven't seen it. In fact, he may have the best throwing arm in the game today.
And he made some fine plays last night. They're continuing to check Santana out, and they're getting some ice on it. Yankees have 2 on and 1 out for Mattingly, who Reached on a fielder's choice and grounded out.
Now what you've got in the infield is Paliula on the bench, so they could move Tollison to short or Meacham to short. Tollison, who had the rotator cuff surgery, it'd be tough for him to play shortstop, but you've got to make the longer throw. That does not look like the kind of injury with the pain in Santana's face that he can come back and play today, especially on the throwing hand. He won't be able to grip a baseball.
Indians leading 2-0. Yankees threatening here in the 5th.
Doc Edwards been reluctant all year long to go to his middle or long relief. He pushes his starters a little bit farther. They are leading the major leagues in complete games and tries to get to Doug Jones. So he's going to let his pitching staff battle through a lot of these situations in the middle innings.
Slapped down the line in left. It's a fair ball. It'll go all the way to the wall. Skinner is coming home.
Comes Ricky.
And Henderson is waved in, and he's there, and the score tied at 2. Mattingly with a shot down the left side. RBIs number 29 or number 30 and 31 on the year.
Did Henderson, even with a bad ankle, show some base running speed and some very aggressive coaching by Clete Boyer? Yesterday, Boyer had Tollison thrown out by about 20 feet. Schneider threw him out at home plate. Mattingly with a couple strikes on him just serves the ball the opposite way. He is such a great situational hitter. Left-hander pitching him away, goes the other way, and Boyer knows the throwing arm of Mal Hall and the throwing arm of Ron Washington. He took advantage of him.
Buhner, who has lined out and grounded out, fouls this one out of play.
Listen, when you got Ricky Henderson or Winfield running with their base running speed, you can afford to take some chances as a third base coach. Willie Randolph. Well, that left wrist requires surgery. We're already talking about a cortisone shot to maybe deaden the pain. You can see it's heavily taped. Ricky was limping. He's talking to Willie. He was limping a lot when he crossed home plate going into the dugout.
Curveball in there for a strike. Bales out in front, 0-2. Mattingly out there at second, representing the lead run. Big strikeout for Scott Bales. Right now, let's check in with Marv Albert in New York.
Thank you, Jay. And in Cincinnati, here's that home run you mentioned earlier. Chris Sabo making a strong bid for Rookie of the Year honors with his 8th homer of the season to give the Reds a 2-0 lead over the Giants. They're now in the 5th. Reds in front, 2-0. Back to Jay and Tony.
Thank you, Marv. Sabo wears those wraparound glasses. Pete Rose calls him Spuds McKenzie.
Does he play hard?
Yes, he
Power,
does.
Runs hard.
And this shot by Clark gets by. And coming home, Mattingly. Yankees lead at 3-2.
Well, when you get one of those bottom hitters in the lineup on, as the Yankee did, and then come around to the top end of the order, you get trouble. That's what happened. Santana on, and he left after getting hit. Fielder's choice Skinner. The 8th and 9th hitters helped start it off.
Clark picking up RBI number 39 on the year.
Mark Wiley's going to come out and try and buy a little time as that bullpen starts scurrying for Doc Edwards. John Perlman, he's just been called up about a week ago. He's only had a couple of tosses, so Wiley's going to try and stall for some time. Some pretty good left-handed bats on the bench for the Yankees.
Yankees have come up with 3 runs on 4 hits in this 5th inning. Have 5 hits now on the game. And Santana with that ice bag on the right wrist where he took the ball that was thrown out there by Washington.
Winfield, a good part of this year, has been batting in the 5th and 6th slot. Of course, with Clark, he hit in the 4th spot all year long. He came off the disabled list. Winfield hit 3rd yesterday. That was only the 2nd time this year.
Winfield is grounded out and lined out. That shot into center field back in the 4th inning. That's a little low.
You know, when Winfield finally decides to retire, and he's been such a durable player, it's going to be interesting to see 5 years from the day he retires what the people voting for the Hall of Fame vote him. Look at his offensive statistics. They look good, but not great. But when you figure in his base running, his defense, and all else, things that do not show up in the numbers, this is a Hall of Famer right here in my book. He's been one of the best all-around players in the game for a lot of years.
Well, he came up 3 RBIs short of 100 in '87. It would have been 6 straight years of 100 or more.
Whoops.
Caught the outside corner.
The old automatic. Says Tim Sheeta, the home plate umpire. 3-0. Allen says, oh, well, it's around the corner.
Time called.
So Jim Palmer had an interesting theory. I mean, some say the lively ball. Last year, this year, deader baseball. Why there are less home runs? Palmer simply thinks one of the components is the larger strike zone.
Whoa! Boy, he hit this one hard, and it is going to be out of here.
And that's into a pretty stiff wind, just picking up right off the corner of that upper deck, coming off Lake Erie. So perhaps Allenson would have liked to have had that 3-ball pitch called a ball and put him on. Then you start worrying about Tolleson and Meacham instead of Winfield. So a call that went against Winfield, it appeared from our replay, looked like it should have been ball 4, and he continues to just overpower Cleveland Indians pitching.
This is the 17th home run in his career in this ballpark. He loves to play here, and he just watches it. He knew it was out of there. Tony, that ball just kind of hung there before it went over the fence.
Well, the wind got it. That ball looked like it was going to be almost a tape measure home run, and then that breeze blowing it off the lake. You hit it down the line, the ball will carry with these conditions, but the left center field, the wind killed this ball. Oh, how Scott Bales wished that it would have been ball 4.
And the Yankees have got the lead. Bales is gone after 4 2/3, and we'll be back in a moment.
A&W.
A dejected Scott Bales has given up 5 runs on 6 hits. Jonathan Perlman is the new pitcher. It gets away from Allenson.
I wonder if Bales was thinking right there that he and Allenson as catcher were not very smart in doing what they did. With Tolleson and that tail end of the lineup up, a guy who's just been terrorizing the American League. I mean, I think Canseco got to be the favorites at this point as far as MVP are concerned. He got behind, threw him a nice fat fastball, and just turned the game right around to that man who's just carried this ball club.
2 balls and no strikes, make it 3-0. Tolleson has struck out and singled. The Indians starting pitchers have pitched into the 7th inning in 53 of the 66 games, 80% of the time. But it's not going to be the case here, and here is your relief pitcher coming in and walking the first man he faces.
Well, Doc Edwards playing today with a short pitching staff. Bales leaves, he brings Perlman in, and they disable at about 1 o'clock, half hour before the ball game. Rich Yett, one of their starters, have not yet been able to call somebody up. Rodriguez will be here Monday.
Don't forget, there's more baseball action coming up for you. The Blue Jays and the Tigers, the Padres and the Dodgers. And here is Bobby Meacham's grounded out and fly to center field, a throw over to first. Tolleson has not stolen a base this year. The Yankees have struck for 5 here in the 5th.
Perlman has spent a little time in the big leagues with the Chicago Cubs and the San Francisco Giants.
And on deck, there is Aliarulo. That's a little low.
This year in spring training out in Arizona, Hank Peters had just under 50 pitchers in spring training that they were looking at. Team that was last in the major leagues in team ERA, and won't know, Jay, until you get to July and August when you got to get into team's bullpen and injuries crop up if this Cleveland team's for real. You get to those dog days where the bench and the bullpen mean so much. Mark Wiley out. It's been a problem that has plagued Perlman most of his career. Control.
Well, it's obvious that Santana is not going to be able to continue, as you surmise, Tony. Scott Bales, 4 2/3 innings, 5 runs on 6 hits. He struck out 2 and walked 3.
Well, that play was Santana leading it off, and Bales may have been a little slow getting over, and Willie Upshaw tried to lead him on the dive, allowed the base hit, and the 8th and 9th hitters started off, and then they got to the guns. Henderson, Mattingly, Clark, Winfield.
And that's low. And Perlman is pitching himself and his team into a hole. His strikeout to bases on ball ratio at Phoenix last year, 49 strikeouts, 37 bases on balls, and another walk. So Perlman comes in and gives up walks to Tollison and Meacham. And Pagliarulo will come to the plate. The pinch hitter. .209 the average, 43 RBIs though, and 8 home runs. I mentioned he's been somewhat of an unsung hero. He has some big hits.
Well, he swings hard at almost anything thrown up there, and tries to pull the ball a lot. And means he has trouble against left-handers.
Nice hand for Perlman, who threw a strike.
Went to a breaking ball to get the strike.
Into right field. Clark coming on. He's there. The Yankees do some damage. They lead it 5-2. Winfield. He banged one out of here. The game of the week is brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors, who invites you to come see the full line of cars and trucks. Mitsubishi, suddenly the obvious choice. Well, I want to remind you tomorrow, America's Olympic hopefuls will gather in the spirit of athletic competition. U.S. taking on the Soviets in volleyball, and 2 of the world's best diving teams will meet. U.S. and China go head-to-head in springboard competition. Coverage of the badminton equestrian horse trials from over in Badminton, England. That's all tomorrow on NBC Sports World.
Wayne Tollison has moved from 3rd to 2nd base. Meacham goes from 2nd to short. And Pagliarulo, who just lined out to Dave Clark in right, goes to 3rd base. Rafael Santana with the hand injury hit on the relay from Ron Washington to shortstop. Looks like that's going to be injured. Going to keep him out for a while.
Ron Washington struck out in the 2nd inning. And the pitch high for a ball from Rick Roden, whose club now leads it 5-2. Bottom of the 5th inning. Roden caught the outside corner with that one. 1-1.
There have been about a half a dozen pitchers this year going to the 9th inning with no hitters. Ron Washington with 1 out in the 9th against Odell Jones from the Brewers broke his no-hitter up pinch hitting in this ballpark a few weeks back.
The noise you hear, they've started the wave here at Cleveland Stadium.
It's almost a mere ripple off Lake Erie.
Roden looking in. Here's the 1-2 offering. Way outside. After this series here, Boston will come in to play Cleveland. The Yankees go on to Detroit. Aliarulo makes the play in time. One gone, and we'll update you on some scores of other activities. Bottom of the 6th inning at Baltimore. Boston leading at 4-0. The Reds leading 2-1. Bottom of the 5th at Riverfront in Cincinnati.
So Boston with Roger Clemens pitching today. Roger looks like he's heading for his 10th win. Chicago Cubs. I'll tell you what. Jimmy Fry's done a pretty good job there. Don Zimmer, Sean Dunston now over the last 3 weeks maybe playing all around like the best shortstop in the game.
They've been very impressive. Gotten rid of some big contracts and have some young people who are looking sharp. Clark grounded out in the 2nd inning, and he hits it into the left field area. It's off the wall, gets by Henderson, and he's going for 3. He's there. That ball ricocheted right by Ricky Henderson, who had no chance to come up with it, and it gave Clark the opportunity for the triple.
You just had a chance to see the combination of power and speed from Dave Clark. Hitting this ball about 375 to left field, a ball out over the plate. Fortunately for Henderson and the Yankees, Buhner over to help out. Otherwise, we're looking at inside the park home run. He had to come all the way over from toward right center field.
He can fly. When he saw that ricochet, he knew he had the opportunity for 3.
Clark last year at Buffalo hit 30 home runs. Stole 14 bases.
Andy Allenson. First pitch to him is a ball.
That looked like a pitch out, which is a crazy time to pitch out. Yeah. When you got a 3-run lead. Somebody misinterpreted the sign there. Billy's upset about it. They look into him to see what he wants, and somebody may have thought he flashed the pitch out sign. He's upset from that.
Allenson singled in the 3rd and scored. He's jammed here, and nobody can get there. Mattingly made a real effort to try and get over there, but he couldn't get the glove to it in time.
If there's a player that sets a better example on a team anywhere in baseball than Don Mattingly, I don't know who he is. Here's a guy who had a rib cage injury, recently back, doesn't give a darn, just throws his body, very upset that he didn't come up with it.
Many observers would tell you that Keith Hernandez plays the best first base in all of Major League Baseball, but you might get some arguments that that man right there does.
I'll tell you who else. How about Andres Galarraga in Montreal?
The big cat. Yeah.
I mean, he's hitting home runs, and he plays that position like not many right-handed first basemen ever have.
1 ball and 1 strike to Allenson. Fouled away.
Clete Boyer moving the defense. He works more moving the infield defense rather than the outfield. Clete, who spent a good time in his career playing in Japan. In fact, Charlie Manuel was there, and they played against each other in Japan and Tokyo.
His brother, the late Ken Boyer, was a special man. Santana, bruised right thumb. They're taking him for precautionary x-rays. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2-2.
Yankees with a 3-run lead. Doc Edwards sees Billy Martin bring his infield in. A little unusual strategy again. Easier to get a base hit through a drawn-in infield, and then a lot of managers will just concede this and take the base hit away from the guy.
And Allenson hits it down there. Aliarulo makes the play in time. And he kept that ball in front of him.
Well, Clete Boyer, who you saw a while ago positioning the defense, spent a lot of time when he was a coach at Oakland under Billy, and then worked with Carly Lansford, has been working with Aliarulo, especially his footwork, his get-ready position. So he smothers it, keeps it in front of him. Going to get a trip from Billy Martin.
Martin, his 5th term as Yankee manager.
Man who's been suspended, what, 6 times during his managerial career, back for the 5th time with the Yankees.
You know what I remember more about this man than anything else? The catch Jackie Robinson's shot in the 52 series.
Yeah, Joe Collins at first base. Apparently lost it in the sun, and Billy came from nowhere.
Mr. Steinbrenner's skippers.
It's almost as many skippers as there have been pitching coaches, hitting coaches, general managers.
he's had more extras than they had in Ben-Hur, I think.
Yeah. That was Mike Ferrara. He's working with the outfield defense.
Clark at third.
Tell you the way Rick Rhoden started out that first inning, struggling, off balance. Didn't look like he was going to go this far, did it? And all of a sudden he settled in, used his fastball more, threw a couple of those big lollipop curveballs. Basically, he's just moved the fastball around.
1 strike to Franco, who walked, stole a base, and scored in the first and singled in the third. Franco's got his average up to 273. Inside. John Filippelli, our producer today, and the multi-talented Andy Rosenberg, bringing you the sights and sounds of Major League Baseball from Cleveland this afternoon. A fine crew. 2 balls and 1 strike.
You just saw those numbers on Rhoden, and it's the kind of staff, you know, or even Candelaria, giving him a few complete games. He's had elbow problems, so the man who's become as important as anybody on this staff is Cecilio Guante. Without him, they'd be trailing in this division, perhaps by more than a few games.
He's been exceptional, no question about it. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Charles Hudson to the left and Cecilio Guante behind him.
Didn't like the call.
He's missed a couple of games in the last week and a half or so with a banged up knee.
High chopper. Foul ball.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, Johnny Goro's going to have a little bit of an argument. Where Paliarulo caught that ball, he's in foul territory, obviously, but where it crossed the base, it was awfully close. Jim Evans, the crew chief down there, felt when it crossed the bag, it was in foul territory.
Well, Evans is right there. He's right
sure
there.
Wow. He's got 1 foot in foul territory. It was a tough call, but that ball looked like it was foul. It was only foul maybe a foot when it was way deep, almost near the outfield grass. When it crossed the bag. Oh, it's one of those times if you had a camera shoot right down that line.
I like it the way we have it over here. I don't want to see instant replays to decide decisions in baseball. I don't like it in football anyway.
I'll tell you, though, if the umpires continue to have the attitude of Richie Phillips, their executive director, they're going to go to replays to disprove some of them, I guess. I mean, some of the comments he made regarding Billy.
Figure out where he's coming from, can you?
Leading him down a thorny path, to say the least.
I should say.
Wow. That was arrogant.
Payoff pitch, and he struck him out. Strikeout number 4 for Rick Rhoden. Yankees lead it 5-2 here in Cleveland. Dale Ford, the first base umpire, his dad Nelson Ford in hospital down in Johnson City, Tennessee. Dale sends along best to his dad, and of course Father's Day tomorrow, as we mentioned earlier when we were referring to Ron Kittle's father, who is ill. Skinner leads it off as we move into the 6th inning. Skinner has flied to center field, reached on a fielder's choice, and scored back in the 5th. It's hit on the ground, and Franco makes the play. mentioned early on that Ricky Henderson has thrived under Billy Martin. I think that punctuates it right there.
Well, Ricky has made the comments. He just has a rapport with Billy, that Billy lets him be more on his own than anybody else, lets him steal when he wants to. Of course, last year for Lou Piniella, Henderson was hurt with a severely torn hamstring. There were some sparks that flew between those two.
Henderson today walked his first 2 times, and then in the 5th he singled and later scored. Acquired from Oakland for Jay Howe, Jose Rio. Rio now with Cincinnati and doing very well. So is Tim Burtzes, who was involved in that. And here's the catch earlier in this game.
Joe Carter looked like he had one in the seats. Not for Ricky Henderson.
That deal that Henderson came over from Oakland was in December of '84. Stan Javier also involved in that deal. 2 balls and 1 strike. Fouled away.
And really, I don't think there's a player in the game, when he's healthy, can beat you in more ways than Ricky Henderson. With his speed in the outfield, speed on the bases, home run power, high on base average.
Did not lead the league in stolen bases for the first time in 8 years last year, as Tony indicated, the hamstring problem. That's inside and backed him off. Reynolds was the league leader stolen bases last year.
There are a lot of teams trying to get Ricky Henderson out of the crouch, pitch him inside, try and make him lengthen his strike zone. And as he admits, he's got a little hot dog in him, and opposition players get mad at him.
Perlman's 3-2 pitch is fouled out of play, and did he break the bat? It sounded like it.
Well, if he was using Don Mattingly's bat, there was an exchange of bats before he went up. Don's going to have to go get another one. Did you break your favorite one, Donnie?
Tony, it seems to me like we have had an inordinate amount of broken bats this year. I mean, 4, 5, 6 a game, it seems like.
Well, thin handles. They want big barrels. You want 31, 32-ounce bats. The only way to get them lighter is to dry them more, take the moisture out of them, and they become like balsa wood. In theory, being more bat speed, lighter object. I think really to drive a ball, there's a combination. You got to have, the bat speed plus also the mass to propel the ball. That's why most people feel that doctoring a baseball bat doesn't do any good.
Thank you, Professor. Another payoff pitch from Perlman and lined right to Washington. 2 gone.
Bright sunny day. There are a lot of white shirts. It looked like Ron Washington really saw the ball off the bat right away. Ball coming out of the backdrop.
There you get a look at the big crowd on hand here at Cleveland Stadium. Mattingly doubled, 2 RBIs, and scored in the 5th. Yankees are 9-8 in games that he has not played in this season. They average 5.7 runs a game when he's playing, and 4.9 runs without him. Mattingly in the lineup today, and it's 5-2 Yankees. Jacoby throws on. Yankees have the lead, 5-2. Here in Cleveland, the Yankees have the lead. You look along the wall there and you see the name of Bob Feller. The Cleveland Sports Legends Foundation has formally launched a drive to create a statue for Feller that would be placed outside this stadium. Proceeds from the sale of a commemorative poster going to go toward the construction of the Feller statue, and that'll be nice, Tony, to have a statue outside of Rapid Robert Feller. Nice play, and just in time. Upshaw is out of there as Mattingly got it over in time.
You're going to show on a ball that bounced up right down the line, not only covering a lot of ground, fundamentally the first crossover step right over left. The ball bounces up. The hands of a third baseman and the quickness of that third baseman, who's perhaps got to have the fastest reflexes of any infielder. The ball gets to a third baseman so fast, and you throw that in the first baseman side too. Show you what that means at the corners for this ball club.
Upshaw 0 for 3 on the afternoon. Here's Carter. He singled, got the RBI in the first, and fly deep to left on that play that Henderson made out there. Change up is high.
I don't really think that he wants to throw that pitch for a strike. It's just he's thrown it 3 times
Just
this
showing
game.
it to
Just
him.
show him the extra pitch.
Right.
Show him the little lollipop, and then he's gone back to the fastball line.
Outside, ball 2. 5-6-0 for the Yankees. 2-4-0 for the Indians. Indians with single runs in the first and third. The Yankees came up with 5 in the fifth. Back down Central. 2 balls and 1 strike. I mentioned that the Yankees will go on to Detroit from here. Boston comes in here to play Cleveland. These 2 teams will go at it at Yankee Stadium. Big series that begins next Thursday. Let's check in on some other scores. Play this afternoon, top of the 7th. Clemens has given up 3 hits. He struck out 7 and walked none, and Boston leads it 4-0. Cincinnati holding on to the 2-1 advantage. Bottom of the 6th inning. Sabo is homered in that one. Chicago leads Montreal 1-0. Wrigley Field, they're in the bottom of the 3rd. Here it is 5-2 the Yankees with Tony Kubek, Jay Randolph. Hope you're enjoying the first game of our doubleheader this afternoon. Coming up, more action for you.
Say, Chicago Cubs. Maddox is going for his 12th win. He's 11-3. You talk about a young pitcher that has developed.
He really has. He's
Oh,
an
boy.
outstanding young hurler. I've been very impressed with him. 2-2 to Carter.
Dick Pohl, the new pitching coach for the Cubs, has got him changing speeds a little bit more. Keep hearing rumors and the possibility that Jesse Barfield may be heading the National League, or maybe the Cubs. I said the deal might be made with some team. Jesse Barfield involved in the Blue Jays over this weekend. He was rumored to go to Boston, and he was rumored to go to the Yankees for Winfield early in the year, and that 3-way deal with Bass, Winfield, and Barfield.
High shot. Way back.
Is it foul?
And is it fair or foul? It is a fair ball. Just inside the line, a booming, towering home run off the bat of Joe Carter.
Joe says, Ricky, let's see if you can jump for this one in the upper deck.
No way.
A breaking ball that had a little bit of tape measure written on it. Upper deck. The only question was it hit so hard it was going to hook foul.
Home run number 13 on the year.
I'll tell you, for Cleveland, that's a good sign, because Carter, since about the first week in May, has been hitting a little over 200. And to get his bat going, it's going to mean a lot to this ball club.
A 1-out home run makes it a 5-3 game. Yankees lead it. Here's Kittle. Kittle is popped out and grounded out. Boy, that was a boomer.
He will stand at home plate, not so much to admire it, because Joe Carter doesn't believe in it. I think really to see, is this going to stay fair or not? Is he sure? He is now. The foul pole really is not extended. I saw young Freddie McGriff from the Blue Jays hit one year in the right field corner that was way back, even higher than that in the yellow seats on the right field line. And it was called foul, and the foul poles here are not extended very high. Like in Yankee Stadium, they're extended way up. And the umpire is, I'm not saying guessing, but it's a tough call for an umpire when the ball is hit under the upper deck here, that high over the top of the foul pole.
Jim Evans' call down the line. He was right on it. You see it went into the upper deck.
No argument from Paliarulo, the third baseman.
Right over the top of the foul pole, it looked like. 1 ball and 2 strikes. High fly ball into left. Henderson under it, and he makes the play.
A changeup that looked like it was up in the strike zone.
Guante up and throwing for New York in the pen down the left side.
I'll tell you, Billy Martin's, he's conscious of it, but he's going to have to be very careful that even in the middle of June, he's not going to blow this bullpen apart. Because that's what happened when you've got all the injuries, and Billy knows it, where he's tried to give some of his pitchers rest. try and get some of the older pitchers through some of these injuries, give them more time to recover. If you do that, you don't get a lot of innings out of your starters like Doc Edwards has so far this year. The bullpen gets blown away in a hurry.
Mel Hall has grounded out twice.
Bronte's already been in 31 ball games, and then he comes in sometimes pitches to 3 innings. Sometimes closes. Rigetti has struggled this year.
Hall hits one foul down the right side. It had the length on it, but on the wrong side of the pole.
You know, you talk about work. Maybe these numbers will tell you. The Yankee bullpen to this point is 11 wins and 7 losses, 20 saves, but 10 failed saves. And that'll show you when you get that many decisions this early out of your bullpen, 11 and 7, it's almost too much.
Neil Allen there. He was in the game last night. One ball and 1 strike. Change up is low. 2-1. Ball hit .280, 18 home runs, 76 RBIs last year. Little popper into short left. And it is Meacham making the play. 5-3. Carter with the big blast, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
You know, the confidence. The confidence is a lot better this year. We're out there going, we're having fun. Everything's meshing this year. The pitching, the hitting, the defense, everything's coming together. It's, you know, one of those years that we're just going out there, we're having fun, we're playing real well, and hopefully we'll be able to continue this series.
That's Corey Snyder. Fellow hit 33 home runs last year on the U.S. Olympic team back a few years ago in '84. There's Corey out of the lineup today. Very impressive outfielder. Well, they're rooting here for a Pike series, as they would call it. Pittsburgh Pirates and Cleveland. Wouldn't that be something? Come right over the Philadelphia or the Pennsylvania Turnpike, I guess it is, and right into Ohio. Take the Turnpike.
Gotta wait till the dog days get here to see how these teams handle it.
Buhner is lined out, grounded out, and struck out. He starts the 7th inning for the Yankees in a 5-3 game. New York has out-hit the Indians 6-5.
Clete Boyers compared Buhner's style of play to Hank Bauer. So just watch him. The way he throws, the way he swings. He's bigger than Hank. There's Cletus. 7 brothers from that family played professionally. 3 in the major leagues.
And down he goes for a strikeout for Perlman.
It almost looks like a forkball. I believe it is. Split-fingered fastball. Roger Craig pitch, the so-called pitch of the 80s. He's got a Hank Bauer moose scar haircut there too, doesn't he?
Well, they kid him a lot about that hairdo and the fact that he looks like Jocko. Clark is out 4-3. And they also kid him about the fact that he keeps it close crop because he's losing it so fast.
Well, there are a couple good looking outfield prospects. Roberto Kelly with that great speed was here. Doesn't have the power of Buhner. Buhner, of course, good throwing arm, decent speed, good power, and the kid named Bam Bam Mullins, who was in spring training, a third baseman outfielder who's got some pop. And he's still a ways away.
Winfield comes to the plate with nobody on and 2 out. He hit a 2-run homer after Clark had homered in the 5th when the Yankees picked up 5 runs on 5 hits and chased Scott Bales. Ball 1.
People have been wondering how Winfield has been able to maintain the intensity level he has through this first 2 months plus of this season. You think at his age, he's like 36, he'd be burning himself out.
He did tire the second half of '87.
Oh, he did, and that's, you know, with this kind of intensity and physically and mentally, The Yankees have got to wonder if that's going to happen again in the second half this year.
That's low. TJ, Tommy John, talking about age. He says, I want to hang in here and see if I can't win 300.
Keep pitching them like they have. He's not going to make it through July.
A walk to Winfield.
Well, that's probably what they should have done, Allenson and Bales, the last time up when he hit the 2-run home run to get the Tollison and then the weaker part of the lineup. Guys who have to single you to death rather than with one swing like Winfield and the hitters before him can get you 2 runs in a hurry.
That was the
mistake in the game.
Third walk given up by Perlman, who, when he came on, walked Tollison and then Meacham. And here is Tollison, who has struck out, singled, and walked.
That's why pitchers like Don Sutton and Tommy John and their other veterans are so good. They know which hitters to pitch around. I mean, you see some ball, you guys get control. You walk 5 and 6 sometimes. So Mike Flanagan's that way. He walked about 5 the other day from Toronto. Got a win. He's probably pitching purposely around certain hitters. Now Flanagan has had control problems this year, but the veteran pitchers will do that. And Bales and Allenson didn't do it earlier.
It's way outside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You study the lineup, you look at the last 4 hitters in this line. Now that Paliarulo's in, it's a little different because he can hit you with a home run in a hurry. But you want to pitch around whenever you can, those middle guys. 3, 4, and 5 hitters.
Third game of this series tomorrow here, and it'll be Tom Candiotti, 6 and 6 against Dotson, who's 7 and 1. That's in there. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Winfield calls over the first base coach, Mike Ferraro. This is a situation with 2 outs where he might be running. Well, he may have tipped it off now if he just called a balk. You betcha. So Winfield's there without a steal. No stop for Perlman. Another balk call.
Second in the game.
I think even though the Rules Committee, who still have got to be embarrassed by voting this rule in during the offseason, we've got to be embarrassed, but still I think the calling by the umpires, there it is. About 2 or 3 umpires called the balk instantaneously where there was no discernible stop. But I think common sense, I mean, there's been a balk called, an intentional walk already. Catcher's on first base. I mean, there's no way they're going to try and deceive him, which the rule says. The rules at the end of the balk situation says to deceive the runners. Well, they're not even trying to deceive them at times, and they're calling balks on guys. It's really disrupted the flow of the game.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Winfield out there at second, 2 out. Yankees lead at 5-3. And strikeout number 2 for Perlman. Right now, here's another edition of Characters of the Game. Stay tuned to NBC Sports this afternoon. Second half of our baseball doubleheader will be coming up. Padres taking on Kirk Gibson and the Dodgers, and others will see the Blue Jays meeting the surging Detroit Tigers. That's next right here on NBC, the home of the '88 World Series.
It's early to
Washington.
Early to get Ricky Anderson out of the game, but he had that long run scoring from first base back in the 5th inning, and I think the ankle may have started hurting him again. He may get another bat in this game.
Veteran Claudell Washington, now 33 years of age, out there in left field. Jacoby has struck out twice, 1 ball and no strikes. As Roden delivers again, it's fouled away. Roden, as those of you who have been with us all the way know, got off to a rather rocky start. Gave up a run in the 1st inning. But as Tony pointed out, got himself going. Guante still down there in the bullpen. Jammed him, popped up, and let's see, there'll be no play.
Roden's had outstanding success. Outstanding success with that pitching on the fists of right-handed hitters. He's been jamming a lot of them. Mattingly puts the glasses down, looks up into the sun, and may have lost it. Trying to look through the webbing of his glove with the glasses down and shield the sun off, and he can't pick it up.
Looked like he thought it might hit him even, but he had lost it over there. That's a tough sunspot right there to the far end of that Cleveland dugout.
You go in the general direction where you think the ball's going to come down and hope it comes out. And then it doesn't hit you in the head.
Hardly a cloud in the sky here, just some fleecy clouds off to the right. Beautiful day on the lakefront here in Cleveland. Big crowd. 5-3 Yankees. Stroke in the left. Washington with the throw, and it is a double.
Jacoby realized there was a stronger throwing arm out in left field now in Claudell Washington. And he did not have good running speed, maybe average, and Washington makes a strong throw and makes it a very close play. That's one of the reasons right there you'd rather have a right-handed thrower as your left fielder, left-hander for your right fielder. They get rid of the ball a little bit quicker in that corner.
And at normal speed.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Roden dropped down with a sidearm breaking ball that just stayed up over the middle of the plate. Washington made it close.
I think we're going to get a pitching change. Billy Martin has come out, and I think they've called for Guante. Yes, here he comes. So, with the score 5-3 and the leadoff double by Jacoby, they call for Guanto. Rick Roden leaving the game. Cecilio Guante. It's going to be his 32nd appearance, and we'll be back right after these messages. There's the line on Rick Roden. Cecilio Guante comes on, and the first pitch to Ron Washington is inside. Guante, as we mentioned, 32nd appearance. He's second in the American League behind the White Sox Bobby Thigpen, who has 33.
There is a difference, though. Thigpen is a stopper, a closer who pitches fewer innings. Guante, seeing just a little over a third over, he's got a pretty good inning buildup right now.
Irulo throws in time. Let's check in now with Marv Albert for an update in New York.
Thank you, Jay. In Cincinnati, in the 7th, outstanding Reds rookie Chris Sabo drives it to the wall. Brett Butler makes the play. The throw to Chris Spire. His relay throw deflects off Sabo, who is able to come around to score. So a triple and a throwing error. Sabo with 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run. Reds in front 3-1 in the 8th. Back to Jay and Tony.
Well, I think you can see from that. That's the way that Sabo kid plays. He gets his uniform dirty right off the bat. Abe Clark is grounded out and tripled. He was stranded in the 5th inning.
We talked about Guante, Jay. He's got just under 50 innings pitched already this year. And here's a guy that last year spent a good part of the year on the disabled list with arm problems.
Where would the Yankees be without him?
Sooner or later, Righetti's going to have to be more consistent and take some of the pressure off Guante.
Guante out in front.
Doc Edwards, as we look at Rags, Dave Righetti, who really is not the power pitcher that he was a couple of years back. You wonder if that record-setting pace that Righetti set a couple of years ago didn't take an awful lot of his arm. Doc Edwards doesn't have a big bench as far as left-handed hitters. Only Chris Bander, the switch hitter. Bell, Ramos, Snyder, and Castillo all right-handed. He wants to pinch hit for somebody.
Chopper. Mattingly will make the play on his own, and Jacoby goes on to third.
Notice all good first basemen, outstanding first basemen are aggressive. That's the one quality. There are a lot of them that may have the talent, the physical skills of Mattingly, but they don't want every ball hit to them, like his middle infielder or shortstop. He's got the mentality of a middle infielder. Now he's directing traffic, positioning his second baseman.
Tollison now at second, of course. Meacham is at short. Irulo at third after the injury to Santana. Having trouble with the sun field here. Santana, in case you joined us late, had to leave this game with a bruised right thumb when he was hit out at second on a ball that was thrown out there. Here is Andy Allenson, singled and scored in the 3rd, grounded out in the 5th. triple in the 5th by Clark. He was stranded. Home run by Carter in the 6th to make it 5-3. Leadoff double here in the 7th by Jacoby. He's down there at 3rd, and they're 2 gone. That just missed outside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Allenson, a big guy who doesn't hit for much power, and that's why Ferraro is moving the center fielder Buhner and right fielder Winfield in a little bit more close. Well, it's been about 3 years in the minor leagues without any home runs. And 1 is 86 for Cleveland.
Bronte comes sidearm, and it's fouled away. Bronte comes from all kinds of different places, doesn't he?
He's so tough on right-handers. You can come with a little slider, the fastball that runs it on your fist in case you're looking away, sweeping curveball at times. It'll make a right-handed hitter bail out, especially a young right-handed hitter. Look at Skinner looking up at Allenson to see if he's peeking before he gives the sign. He said, give the sign. I want you to drop down from the side on him. Probably a breaking ball.
Struck him out. Jacoby is stranded at 3rd, and the Yankees lead it 5-3. Here at Cleveland Stadium, the shadows starting to engulf the home plate area on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. The Yankees and the Indians, each with 6 hits. It's been an errorless game. New York leading by 2.
A lot of kids here today after a night game yesterday. The Cleveland Indians staff with a lot of their players and coaches had some clinics for little leaguers.
A lot of teams are doing that, Tommy. It's nice. When we got here a little after 10 this morning, there must have been 3,000 or 4,000 kids on the field working in different areas with the Cleveland players.
Well, this is how you promote good relations and hope that the kids can convince their parents to take them out to the ballpark.
Strike 1 to Meacham, who's grounded out, flied to center and walked. Like he might be thinking about bunting his way on there.
Meacham at one time did a lot of switch hitting. He's completely given up on that now.
Yankees got all their runs in the 5th. 5 runs on 5 hits as they chase Scott Bales.
So Meacham may become very important now, depending upon the length of time. Santana will be out with a hand injury, with Willie Randolph disabled. Monte and
Winfield talking it over. And that's on the outside. Just missed outside. Thought for a moment that Yoshida was going to call out a strike. It is 3 balls and 1 strike. A big gap in right center field. That caught the corner. 3-2.
Interesting. They're actually playing Meacham somewhat to pull. You can see where the shortstop Washington is. Of course, Perlman does throw that fork ball, and it's a pitch. If he throws it down, then he's going to hit a ground ball to the left side. Missed with a fastball.
A walk.
That's where defenses vary, not only with the situation, but not only play the hitter. It's an old phrase. You play the situation, and especially the pitcher, pitching to the hitter. A power pitcher, left-hander like Swindell, Washington would probably play him up the middle of the diamond. The forkball pitcher, like Perlman, right-hander, even Meacham, more likely to pull it left side. The former catcher like Doc Edwards coordinates at pitching with the defensive alignments.
Pagliarumo has not homered since May 31 against Oakland. And look out. They're in against the wall. Hall made the catch. Boy, that ball just kept going.
Well, you know, that's what happens when you get away from that wind tunnel. The flag blowing off Lake Erie. The wind blows and hits the upper deck by the first base and then swoops out, and the ball's more toward the line away from left center field, from left center down the line, actually going to carry. That ball's hit more to left center field. He's got to come in on that ball, but the wind swooping and then blowing it back out, and Hall made a nice catch. He's battling his son there too, Jay.
Yeah, Pagliarumo hit that ball better than I thought. He's second, you know, in the American League over the last 3 years in home runs, with 71 coming into this year. Evans had 80.
Well, we've seen some good catches. Henderson taking a home run from Carter. Carter on that great play, line drive off Winfield, and now Mel Hall.
Here's Skinner with 1 on and 1 out. A little low and outside. Ball one. Skinner fly to center. Reached on a fielder's choice and scored in that big fifth. And he grounded out in the sixth.
And he is a double play possibility. And don't be surprised if Billy Martin, 1 ball, no strike, doesn't start the runner. Try instead of a double play, open a hole. Not going.
And fair ball into the bullpen down there.
I'll tell you, there's an argument. Willie Upshaw, as the runners will have to stop as it goes into the bullpen at second. But Upshaw is trying to show that the ball hit outside the line. Willie pointed at Dale Ford, saying, hey, this is a line drive all the way on the fly. It didn't bounce before the bag. It was a foul ball. Dale Ford and the American League umpires who stay in foul territory, some of the National Leaguers stay right on the line. Ford trying to get out of the way of it. Feels he had a good view of it. But Upshaw insisting and pointing to the spot where the ball hit outside the line.
Well, I had to wait because Ford did make a move, and then he gave us the call.
Well, he had to make the call on the run. He was trying to get out of the way. You know, he's lined up with first base and the pitcher's mound in the event there is a balk to be called on the pitcher, and then the ball gets hit his direction. Willie Upshaw doesn't say too much. I mean, he's a very quiet guy. He contesting the call. Anyway, that'll bring the infield in.
Claudell Washington comes to the plate for the first time this afternoon. He took over in left field for Henderson. 306 the average, 26 RBIs, 4 home runs, low for ball one. Washington, injured much of last season, came to the Yankees in late June of '86 in the Ken Griffey deal. Franco holds the runner and throws on. Two out for Mattingly.
It's one of those situations where Claudell Washington, a low ball hitter, goes after a low pitch, but it was a sinker. Perlman going with his strength, so it's a time where you'd say, well, gee, he's a low ball hitter. Why don't we try and pitch him upstairs? But that would be going away from Perlman's strength. Through the sinker ball, and his strength won out over Claudell Washington's strength that time.
Mattingly, 2 RBIs, a double, and scored in the 5th inning.
Going to walk him.
Yep.
Get to the kid, Buhner. In a situation where Allen said, I'm sure Doc Edwards has already said, hey, make sure he stops. Man on third base, we need a balk right here.
This is the 5th walk given up by Perlman, who came in the 5th inning.
Yesterday was interesting, as Candelaria had a balk called on him by Cheetah, the home plate umpire. This was last night when Cheetah was at first base. And then Candelaria intentionally walked a right-hander. And for the 4th ball he threw to that hitter, he not only stopped, he stopped for about, by count, 10 seconds and just kept glaring at the first base umpire, Cheetah. Is this really long enough? I mean, he really almost made a...
We were sitting behind home plate, you and I, last night, and he really gave him a stare, didn't he?
I was waiting for him to stick out his tongue at him, and he came close to that.
Well, could history repeat itself? Jay Buhner hit a grand slam last Saturday against Baltimore, and here he is with the bases loaded.
Into right field, too. A tremendously strong guy.
He's lined out, grounded out, and struck out twice.
They pretty much tried to bury him inside today most of the time. Looks like if they show him a pitch away, it's away out of the strike zone, and then try and come right back in. I don't know if Perlman has got a good enough fastball to do that to Buhner.
Strike at the knees. Meacham, Skinner, and Mattingly out there. For Jay Buhner, Yankees leading at 5-3, have out hit the Indians 7-6. One ball and one strike. Coming up, of course, when this action is concluded, the second half of the doubleheader. Many of you see the Padres and the Dodgers. Others see the Blue Jays and the Tigers, who are on a tear these days.
Scheduled pitchers in that Padres-Dodgers game that Vin and Joe are going to do for you next. Tim Leary against Eric Schau. One
ball and 2 strikes. Well, this was a dandy pitch here. Perlman had it come back in and just catch the outside corner.
So Allenson does a very nice job in framing that pitch and pressing it back up into the strike zone, not slapping down, but kind of pulling it up.
And the strikeout, number 3 in the strikeout department for Perlman. The Yankees strand 3. Jay Randolph with Tony Kubek here in Cleveland. Tony, we've had a lot of fine plays in this game today. How about we take you back to 1954?
Never been a more famous catch than this one, has there? Cleveland Indians won 111 games that year. That was an 154-game schedule. Dick Wirtz hit that one center field in the polo grounds, and a great one, Willie Mays. That was a pretty good buck, too.
Yep. Saw the Say Hey Kid last weekend. He's been out tub thumping for that book. Franco to lead it off, 8th inning. Yankees 5-3. Franco has walked, stolen a base, scored. He singled in the 3rd, struck out in the 5th. Cecilio Guante in relief. Strike on the inside corner. Last year, the Yankees won the series 7-6. This is the first meeting between these teams this year. Washington closes fast to make the play on that one.
You saw another one of the reasons why Guante is so tough. He can come in and get that first pitch strike. Very good getting the first hitter, but also the change of delivery. First pitch to Franco was from the side. Next pitch he came over the top. So he changes the release point. You've only got about 2/5 of a second to decide whether you're going to swing and pick the ball up.
It really gives you some interesting looks.
Oh, yeah. Little different look all the time.
Upshaw, strike at the knees. The Indians have not won a season series from the Yankees since '81. They won here last night, 6-4. Are behind 5-3, 8th inning. Another strike.
Well, Joel Skinner sat right on the outside corner, and he came more over the top. A little backdoor breaking ball, a little slider. That's the pitch where it became a big pitch. They talk about the split-fingered fastball, the pitch of the 80s. I think the backdoor breaking ball has been the pitch of the 80s. More and more, if you get a catcher and if the umpire gives it to you, they move out even farther.
Tony, we haven't talked much about the strike zone. You've got any opinions as we've reached this point in the season?
Well, I think it's been inconsistent. I think umpires tried early on. To me, it just looks like, by observation and by talking to hitters and pitchers, that the strike zone really has stayed about the same as last year, even though the book strike zone has changed.
2-2. Indians with single runs in the 1st, 3rd, and the 6th. Yankees got theirs in a big bunch in the 5th. 5 runs on 5 hits.
That old about the strike zone, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and yet the pitchers had to learn new tricks with a discernible stop in the balk.
Strikeout. The 2nd for Guante. Roden went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits, struck out 4 and walked 1. And here's Carter. Singled, got the RBI in the 1st, fly deep to left when Henderson made the big play in the 3rd and homered in the 6th.
After Guante threw that last pitch to strike out Upshaw, he started shaking his hand on that elbow, and many times when a pitcher does that, it's an indication there's some tenderness there. He had a pretty good inning build-up.
That's fouled back.
Sometimes it may only be on the slider, and he throws a lot of sliders.
Carter arguing that ball had hit the dirt before his bat got the ball.
Well, if it did, it's still a foul ball.
And Shida is not going to buy anything.
And if it hit the dirt, he'd have hit it like Yogi on occasion did. Hit the dirt and hit it for a single, it still would have been a single.
Fouled over our heads. There's that previous pitch a minute ago when Carter was complaining to Shida.
Oh. Well, what he's complaining about is he thought he had his bat back in time, and Shida said, said, you were way out after the pitch, and it is a judgment call by the umpire, and he felt that Carter didn't pull his bat back fast enough.
From our view, it had looked like the bat hit the ball.
You talk about a nice brush back. He'd come from the side, and Shida very quickly just gets out between. The guys are dusting the plate off, but gets between the hitter Carter and Guante. With no balls, 2 strikes. Coming from the side, he felt that Carter might be looking for a breaking ball away, so he does a nice job brushing him off the plate. And comes back with that and down away.
Popped up. Skinner coming back. Has he got room? Yes.
I haven't found anything he can't do as a catcher.
Boy, good-looking young catcher. He really is. We'll be back with more right after this. Doug Jones, Marv Albert's pregame guest today. That 1.93 ERA, the 16 saves, 12 of them in a row, one away from tying the record of Bedrosian.
Interesting thing about him is that a couple of years ago, he pitched a little bit for Milwaukee. They offered him a job as a minor league pitching instructor here. And he said, no, I want to pitch a little bit more. And he's just been phenomenal. Jack Aker, the former pitching coach, taught him what they call an OK changeup. It acts like a little screwball. Boy, he's made the most of it this year.
Tony, the Indians had 25 saves as a team last year, you know, with everybody. And Jones alone with the 16 this year. The Indians have 20. He has 16 of the 20.
Well, they say you can't win without a good closer.
That's the truth.
They've got one now.
Clark homered in the 5th. And into right field. Clark leads off with a single, his second hit of the afternoon. He's 2 for 4.
That's what Jack has been learning to do in this league. Now that he's getting through some of these teams and seeing some of these pitchers and getting better scouting reports, he's starting to swing at a few more first pitches. He's always taken a lot of pitches, but now that he knows the action, so Clemens in the 9th appears to have a win.
Cincinnati leading 3-1, top of the 9th inning at Riverfront. And Chicago up 2-0. In that game at Chicago, umpire Bruce Frumming, one of the fine umpires in the National League, apparently hit by a ball and taken to hospital for precautionary x-rays.
Spank, he'll come back in there. He's one guy I've always thought of when I see Frumming umpire. And he's so good, and he's also tough but fair. I'd love to see him be a linesman when McEnroe is playing at Wimbledon. We'll see what McEnroe will say to him.
Yes, that would be fun. And of course,
balk.
Wimbledon.
Called a balk again.
Yeah, another balk, the 3rd of the afternoon. Tony, you're talking about being a linesman. Wimbledon is coming up, of course, and NBC's
here is Jack Clark on first base.
Yeah.
Doesn't run well. Had severe ankle problems coming out of spring training. No threat to steal with Winfield up, and they call a balk. Now, that is just unreasonable. That is misusing the power given to them by the Rules Committee. There's no deception, no attempt to deceive a runner there. It's just a farce. Used to be. Good job by Winfield. Good job.
Got him over.
Here's a big guy like that going the opposite way, giving himself up. You know, it used to be the quickest way for a team to take themselves out of the double play situation was the outfielder missing a cutoff man. The guy go to second base. Now the quickest way they get out of double play situation is what you just saw, the balk. And that's, you know, when the players don't even do that and the umpires do it, it's just not fair.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel?
I think you like it, huh?
No, you know I
Have you
don't.
found anybody that does?
No, I haven't. I really haven't. Clark is at 3rd with 1 out.
I mean, it just changes the entire inning. Winfield, a double play possibility. Balk gets in there, he goes the opposite way. Infield's got to come in. It's a 2-run lead in that extra run, which is a lot easier to score now. Changes the complexion of the ball game.
And this will lengthen the lead as Clark comes home. And Collison doubles down the line in left. He picks up his 3rd run batted in of the year.
I'll tell you, give a little bit of credit to Dave Winfield, hitting in the 5 spot, leading the ball club in RBIs, and he gives himself up to get Clark to third base by going with a weak ground ball to the right side. Infield in, if he's back, he may have had a shot at that ball.
Six to 3 Yankees. They've out-hit the Indians 9-6. Activity in the Indian bullpen. Dan Schatzeder down there. Meacham takes inside. Meacham today is grounded out by the center. He walked in the 5th and again in the 8th. Schatzeder. It should be 6-3. 6-9-0 for the Yankees, 3-6-0 for the Indians. Right back to Perlman, holds the runner and throws on 2 gone.
Perlman really has done a pretty nice job, though. I mean,
Yes,
he's being extended quite a bit.
Came in the 5th after Bales had gone 4 2/3 and given up 5 runs on 6 hits, struck out 2 and walked 3. Mentioning Wimbledon, I want to remind everybody tomorrow the Wimbledon '88 preview. A unique retrospective of the players, the champions, and those hallowed grounds of the All England Tennis Club. NBC celebrates 20 years of Wimbledon tomorrow. Check your local listings. And an intentional pass to Pagliarulo.
You know, the bottom 4 hitters in this lineup, Tolleson, Meacham, Santana, and of course Pagliarulo come on in the 5th, and Skinner done a pretty good job today. They've been on base 8 times. I think this 9 now with Pagliarulo.
It's the 6th walk given up by Indian pitching, and the 2nd intentional pass. Mattingly was intentionally walked back in the 8th inning. So 2 on, 2 out, a run home, and Skinner will come to the plate for Bill Martin.
Billy trying to snap a Yankee 3-game losing streak.
4 times manager of the year, a man who creates remarkable chemistry wherever he goes.
But it's difficult to separate his off-the-field activities from on the field, and it's been said of him between the white lines, he's one of the best. Now he's getting some abuse because he's mishandling the pitching staff, and it's just sometimes a no-win situation, even more so in New York with a tough media. And if you're Billy Martin, I mean, he's lived that way since he was a kid. They tell me he was a scrappy basketball player. He played defense. He'd knock people down, start fights. He hadn't changed.
Skinner hits the ball on the ground. Washington throws on to Franco. They'll go to the bottom of the 9th inning here in Cleveland. The Indians need 3 to tie. There's your line score as we go to the bottom of the 9th, and Ron Kittle to lead it off for the Indians. He has popped out, grounded out, and flied to left. And Waddy and the Yankees are sure pleased that he comes to the plate with nobody on. Kittle, who homered twice here last night.
You can see Kittle in a little deeper crouch now, trying to get a better view of the ball. He's standing in the shade, Guante in the sun. A little difficult to hit on this bright sunny day right now.
Shadow just coming across the batter's box. That's in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Many of you will be watching the Padres and the Dodgers, or the Blue Jays and the Tigers when this one is over. Doubleheader day here on NBC. 2 balls and 1 strike. And Righetti is up and throwing.
He's having another up and down year thus far.
Righetti with that sore elbow. 3 balls and 1 strike. Guante not pleased with that last call from Tim Shida. He walks off the mound, going out there to gather himself, and now Skinner yells out to him.
We've talked a little difficult now for a hitter to see, and that makes it the same thing for an umpire who's trying to make a quick call.
The 3-1. Foul back. Tony, how do you see this race in the American League?
Well, if the Yankees were a healthy ball club, I think they would have a chance to pull away from the pack in July. But they're not a healthy ball club.
Just got a piece of it. The final score for you. Boston wins it. Clemens 10-4. 5-0 the shutout. Cincinnati 3-2. Robinson got the win. Kelly Downs the loss. Pagliarulo's got to hurry.
Whoa.
Throws high.
It's going to be an error. He got a bad hop, bounced up, that upset his rhythm as far as throwing, and then just slung it over there. And the ball bouncing up. Mattingly's going to argue. He said, wait a second. He wants Dale Ford. Mattingly's really hot. He wants Dale Ford to ask Tim Sheehan, the home plate umpire. They're saying that it went in the stands or a fan touched it. Now he said nobody touched it. That ball is in the field of play, and it should not be allowed to go to second base. So here comes Billy, folks. He's no longer handcuffed. He's no longer acting like an altar boy. Maybe a little bit. And I'm wondering why, because the ball appeared to just hit the railing. The grounder does not allow that runner to be sent to second base. Unless it bounced in or somebody touched it.
Sheeta and Ford are conferring.
Well, they've got to get the play right. This is what caused Billy some problems on a controversial call.
Here comes Jim Evans. Evans coming in.
They're going to send him back now, I think. Or are they going to win this argument? Yeah, they're going to send Kittle back. That'll bring Doc Edwards out. And this is the way the umpiring crew should work. They got their heads together to see who had the best angle and best view, and saw that it did not bounce in the stands, was not in the camera box, was not touched by a fan, so Billy convinces them in a very peaceful way. That hop bounces up. Kittle, not a fast runner. Down under, he throws it way over Mattingly's head. It'll probably be an error. Mattingly in pursuit, and right there, that ball is picked up by Tollison backing up the play. And they send Kittle back. So the umpires got together and got the call right.
And it is the first error of the game charged against Aliaruda.
Ball was not hit by a fan, nor in the stands, nor in the booth, so the umpires make a good call. It was Sheeta that made the call. He was giving him second base. And then Ford and Evans came over and overruled it. That's good umpiring when you get it right.
That's the way it should be done, as you mentioned. Strike on the outside corner. Well, we welcome those of you who've been watching the Cincinnati Reds San Francisco Giants action. Jay Randolph along with Tony Kubek. 6-3 Yankees. Bottom of the ninth inning. Indians have Kittle at first. He just reached on an error. Mel Hall at the plate. Strike one to him. That's Cecilio Guante on the hill for the Yankees in relief of Rick Rhoden. And he's out in front 0-2 against Hall.
And the Yankees with a 3-run lead and Kittle on first. Mattingly playing behind him. Going to give him second base if he wants it.
Yankees had a big 5-run fifth. They were down 2-0 going to the fifth inning. Took the lead 5-2. Indians got a single run in the sixth. Yankees got one in the top of the ninth. It's 6-3. 6-9-1 for the Yankees. 3-6-0 for the Indians. On to Meacham. Back at first, safe.
Oh, I don't think he touched the bag. I think Guante had trouble finding the bag. Mattingly is so smooth. The 3-6-3 double play is the toughest double play on a first baseman. The tough one now, the 3-6-1, is a tough double play for a shortstop because you've got to hit a moving target. Right there, the ball's there in time, but Guante didn't have the bag, and another good call by Dale Ford, the first base umpire. Then he drops it.
The Major League Baseball game of the week being brought to you by Toyota. There's quality, then there's Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more? By Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered draft beer. It's as real as it gets. By Sears, where there's more for your life. And by the on-time machine, American Airlines, something special in the air. Pop up off the bat of Brooke Jacoby. Skinner handles it behind home plate, and they're two gone. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. Coordinating producer of NBC's baseball coverage, Harry Coyle. Today's telecast produced by John J. Filippelli, directed by Andy Rosenberg. The pregame was produced by Les Dennis. The pregame directed by Doug Grabert. Our technical directors, Lenny Stucker and Richard Sansevier. And thanks to all hands who have been with us here in Cleveland this afternoon, bringing you these fine pictures and the play from Cleveland Stadium.
Billy going to move his outfield. He's already moved Mattingly back, saying we don't want you to hold Hall on. He's moving Winfield, and Tollison is second base. Do you think Billy learned something when he went out and won that little discussion without kicking dirt, without raising his voice?
It's amazing what got a
call reversed. But a rational argument from Billy Martin. Maybe learned something.
Diplomacy, huh?
Yeah.
Ron Washington has struck out and grounded out twice. Cecilio Guante trying to hold him here. Cleveland winning last night 6-4. Coming up next, the Padres and the Dodgers, the Blue Jays or the Tigers. Now Skinner wants to talk with his hurler.
Scheduled pitchers in that Toronto-Detroit game, for those of you around the network who see it, Jim Clancy, he struggled this year a lot, 3-8 against Walt Terrell, 2-3. Well, of course, having the leg problem coming out of spring training, a late start. Detroit just a half game back.
Boy, they've been doing a job of late. It's a little high.
The Tigers have won 8 of their last 10.
Guante in jeopardy of putting Washington on, and that would bring the tying run to the plate. Strike right down the middle. Down there to first base. Guante has given up his first walk.
Well, Billy Martin looking at the opposition lineup card, extra men. No, you'd like to keep those right-handed bats on the bench. Bando a switch hitter, all the rest right-handed hitters.
Mr. Martin.
You'd like to keep Corey Snyder and Righetti. Should be loose if Billy needs him. I think he's going to stick with Guante. He wants to pitch to the younger hitter, more inexperienced than Dave Clark, rather than bring Rags in, who has struggled more often than not this year, and have a Corey Snyder's bat come in there. Snyder can hit, but he tried to run in the outfield before the game, and his knee was too sore to start.
He was injured last evening in a play at second base here. Oh, it's going to be Guante to hang in there as Billy makes his way back to the dugout. Clark this afternoon in the second inning grounded out. He tripled and was stranded at third in the fifth. Then he grounded out in the seventh.
And if Pelly Ruler makes that play, this inning might have been over. Now they're going to have to guard the line at the corners to keep that runner at plate out of scoring position.
And a line drive right to Tollison to end the game. Roden's the winner. He's 3-5. Bales, the loser, is 6-6. Guante gets his 8th save. 6-3. The Yankees over the Indians. And we'll be back with more from Cleveland Stadium right after these messages. Well, this afternoon's NBC Miller Lite players of the game, Dave Winfield. Winfield with a 2-run homer here this afternoon. And Cecilio Guante also honored for his fine relief job. Miller Lite happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Winfield and Guante to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Jack Clark got the game-winning RBI. 48,000 plus watched it. For Tony Kubek, Jay Randolph, stay tuned for the second half of the doubleheader.